Hello, hello. We're live.
Hello, hello.
How's everybody
Hello.
doing?
Good.
Good. I'm surprised you're here. You didn't tell me you were coming up, Mo.
I finished all my work really fast so I could leave early.
Hold on. Oh, look. Why
I
do
got
I?
things to do, people.
Right. Oops. Oh, crap. I didn't mean to do that. I pushed the wrong thing. Sorry, you guys.
Hold on, I gotta turn on my Bluetooth. Are we right back?
All right.
I'm going to pick up a kid from sports, and I can't get my interior lights off on my cars. I feel like a freaking idiot.
Well,
Is there a door open?
no.
No, I literally just opened and closed all the doors. I'm like, what the heck?
There's a knob. It should be somewhere on your left
That's
side.
my headlight one.
There should be another. Okay, then I don't know what kind of car you drive.
A Durango.
There's not a rolly one on the dash.
There's a
like the
rolly
left
one.
side?
That's probably it.
That's my dash lights, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Ah,
Those are your dash lights
Yeah.
are your interior lights.
you guys are so
Babe.
smart. Thank you. I'm like trying to drive. I'm like, holy crap! I'm freaking immense over here. Can't get connected. I'm like, I can't. I'm not gonna make it tonight. I'm broken.
Oh no. This is the big night. This is Todd
I
on
know.
the stand. You can't be broke tonight, Tracy.
I
You
can't be
get
broke tonight. I can't be
No.
broke.
Mm-mm.
Todd.
Ah,
All
what are you
right.
doing?
Well, I'm doing good. I just am putting the finishing touches on the video for tomorrow night. And I have been keeping my head down and my nose to the grindstone and out of the shenanigans.
Oh gracious. Yeah, I've been watching the Waffle House, and so I've been staying out of the shenanigans as well.
I try to stay out of the shenanigans, but I haven't done anything important. So I feel
Listen, staying out of the shenanigans is important in and of itself.
well, that's true. Okay, good.
That's important work.
I'm like, I did
want
ditches. Like I'm trying to think of like what productive things have I done today.
Well, I mean, you've got children and they're all still alive. So you kept tiny people alive today. That's
I
important.
did. I kept tiny people alive today. Yep, accomplishment. Yes.
There you go.
Oh, I put together a little thing on all the Barrymore View body cams. Did that.
Ooh.
That was exciting.
Oh, that is
There you
exciting.
go.
Yeah, that was
Well,
productive.
that's productive.
That's productive. Let me say hi to everybody in chat. Hey, Kez Chick. Hello, Community Ventures. Diane. Hello, Tony. Hello, Lupe Fuentes. Cement Shoes. Amelia Sparkles. And I want to make sure I get everybody. I think that's. I already said hi. Oh, hi, Hope for Peace. Team Psych Ward. Already. Renee New. Hi, Shamina.
Happy birthday
Hello.
tomorrow. Hope for peace.
Oh, happy birthday tomorrow.
Whose
I
birthday
missed
is
that.
tomorrow?
I missed her.
weeks
I
ago.
missed her comment. I know. At first, I know. I thought you were saying it to Shmita, and I was like,
Me
"Wait,
too. I was like,
Shmita's
wait a minute.
I heard it
already
get
had
quiet, so I
birthday.
was like, hope for peace.
Oh, hope for peace. Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday!" Hey, Sugar Beet. All right, so tonight is the night. We have 13 minutes and 33 seconds of testimony from, hang on, let me see who it is. It is Michael Mullis and Michael Krogman. I'm pretty sure Michael Mullis is Todd's brother. I don't know who Michael Krogman is, but we'll all find out together. And then Todd Mullis takes the stand, and we get to hear his perspective on all the things. So, I guess we should just get right to it because Todd's
Oh, your doggy looks like my doggo.
aw,
Aww.
because
Sorry.
no, babe, you're fine.
Oh, dog.
Oh,
Doug.
shiny objects. Oh,
Oh boy.
I'll mute.
Because I don't mute, it's fine. I know that everybody wants to get to it and it's like long. It's like an hour and a half. And that's just his direct examination, or direct testimony. So I want to get started so that we can we have plenty of time to not only watch but to talk about it. So all right.
Please be seated, everyone. Okay, do we have a witness for the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. Mike Mullis, please.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Go ahead and have a seat there. State your name, please.
Michael Joseph Mullis,
Go ahead, counsel.
Mr. Mullis, how old are you?
54 years old,
And where do you live?
5 miles north of Irville.
And what is your relationship to Todd Mullis?
He's my brother.
And how are you employed?
I'm self-employed as a farmer.
And is your farming operation connected in any way to Todd's farm?
Yes, it is. We use machinery together, and he's got separate operations, but we do share machinery to a certain extent. And share the workload, I guess, put it that way.
Hey Gwenty. Hey Allie79. So
how
glad
far
you
apart
made
do
it,
the two
babe.
People, or you and Todd's place?
As a crow flies, probably 2 miles.
Hey Smalls. I don't even know what I've heard that sentiment many times as the crow
As
flies.
part of
I have no
helping
idea what that
out
means.
each other in the farming operation, would you work on his land and he work on yours?
Yes, we just share labor.
It just means like if a bird flies straight, like meaning no traffic
Piece
and
of
stuff.
equipment.
Why don't you just say that? Hey Paula Walking. That
you
makes
aware
no
that
sense.
Todd
And why is it a
had
crow?
an iPad that he used for
It's just
farming
a country
purposes?
saying. I hear
Yes,
it
I
all the
did.
time.
Well, I know I've
Yeah,
heard it
but-
before. I just
And
don't
did
know
you
what it
see him
means.
use it in the
This is not
farming
important. Let me
operation?
be quiet.
Yes, I did. We use it as a yield monitor and a GPS unit, and just simple searches, I guess, for whatever reason.
Did you ever use that iPad?
Yes, I did.
And what would be your reason for using it?
Oh, we were trying to find some new tracks for our mini excavator. So one day I was over there and the excavator is there. So I just went, and he said, yeah, go ahead and use it. So I went and got it, and I was looking up for tracks for that excavator, and we found some, so we bought them that way.
Was there a password to get on that iPad?
Yes, there was.
Did you know what it was?
Yes, I did.
So that had been shared with you by Todd.
Oh yeah, everybody knew what the password was.
I want to switch to some other equipment that we've heard about. On Todd's farm, there were 2 large hog buildings, right?
That's correct.
And were you aware that there were security cameras mounted on, I believe, one of the buildings?
Yes, it was on the south building.
And are you familiar with those cameras and how they work?
Yes, I am. I have the same cameras at my hog facility.
Do you know where the recording equipment was kept on Todd's farm?
Yes, it was in the shop, in the office. There was an office in the shop, and that's where the monitor was.
Do those cameras work all the time?
No, I got 2 of them on my place too, and they don't work right now either. But over at Todd's, the cats would get in the office. Where do you think they end up? They always end up in the window.
And why would getting in the window interfere with these cameras?
Well, that's where the antennas are located, because it's wireless, so you got to be within a site, so if they would knock the cameras down or antennas down, the camera they couldn't get received.
And that wouldn't be a situation where the machines had been shut off. It was just that it wasn't receiving a signal.
No, they were never shut off.
Have you personally seen cats in the window in Todd's shop area where these antennas were?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Mullis, that's all the questions I have. The state may have some.
Okay.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Sir, you
Alice
indicated that you
objects it
remember
right
using
now
Todd's iPad
at
to
the
look up an
blaming of the
excavator-
cats.
Excavator.
Yes, getting tracks for an excavator. It's a mini backhoe.
And when was that?
Oh, it would have been the spring of 18.
And that was when Todd told you you could look to do a search on the iPad.
Yeah.
And you also indicated that you talked a little bit about cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you indicated that you have cameras, the same cameras on your farm,
Yes, I do.
but you can physically turn them off if you choose to, correct?
Well, if you unplug them, yeah.
And you were not at the Mullis farm on November 10th, 2018, in the morning, I'm sorry, before this happened.
No.
And sometimes you're at the farm, at Todd Mullis's farm every day. Sometimes you'll go days without being there.
I'm there pretty much on a day-by-day record, or
So
every day I'm usually there, one way or
in-
another.
every day in October, did you go and see if those cameras were on in the Todd Mullis farm?
No,
And every day in November, did you go and see if they were on or off?
no.
Nothing further.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You can step down. Go ahead.
Hang on, Team Psych Ward, and I will, babe. I promise. Give me just a sec.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead and have a seat. State your name, please.
Michael James Krogman,
Spell your last name.
Krogmann.
Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you. Mr. Krogman, where do you live?
Troy Mills, Iowa.
Oops, I spelled his
And
name wrong.
Where's that from here?
An hour and 7 minutes.
Well, you're fired, Mo.
Is that in the Cedar Rapids area?
I'd be
That's
north
it.
of Cedar Rapids, a half hour north.
Banned from the jury for misspelling.
I didn't catch that other Ian.
Back on November 10th, 2018, were you in the Earlville, Iowa area?
In the area, yes. Just actually outside of Oneida.
And did you become aware of a situation involving Amy Mullis?
I did.
How did that information come to you? Or how did you get involved?
I seen a patrol car go by with lights on, moving at a fairly fast rate, and looked to see where they went, and it was just on the road, so we went to see if we could help in any way.
And where did that take you?
To my cousin's house where he was building, and not knowing what was going on, and Todd and Amy's truck was parked in the driveway.
What's your cousin's name?
Ryan Krogman.
And when you arrived and actually stopped your vehicle, what did you next do?
I seen somebody on the ground, and I seen Todd and Tristan standing there, and I grabbed Tristan and hugged him and turned him away from what was being, I didn't know who was on the ground at that point, but turned him away from it so he wasn't watching it.
Were there emergency personnel and or law enforcement doing something to this person
There
on the
was,
ground?
yes.
What was happening?
I really don't know. They were working on, which is Amy, they were working on Amy on the ground. And I grabbed Tristan and just turned him away from, he was watching what was going on.
What appeared to be his emotional state at the time?
Mostly probably shock.
You said you turned him away. Did you move him away from where he was at?
I just turned him so he's looking the other direction.
What next happened then?
We stood there for seemed like quite a little while. They loaded Amy up. The ambulance was leaving, and Todd hollered at me to take care of Tristan. He was to take care of him.
Do you know where Todd went?
I'm behind the ambulance.
Did he drive himself, or
No, he did not.
how did he get away from there?
My dad was there as well. I rode with my dad to the scene, and then Todd had gotten in with my dad, and they followed the ambulance.
So what did you and Tristan then do?
I was putting Tristan in the truck or walking him over to the truck, and an officer come up wanted Tristan to take him to the farm. And I asked Tristan if he was okay with that, and he'd give me a nod that he was. And we got in the truck and headed towards the farm with one or two officers behind us. I'm not positive on that. I think it was two.
Whose truck were you in at that time?
Todd's truck.
Okay. Tell us what happened when you got to the farm.
We got to the farm. Obviously, we got out of the truck. Like you say, I believe it was two officers pulled in behind us. And Tristan took them over to where he had found Amy. And they went into the shed to see what had happened.
Did you go with them?
I walked to the entryway of the shed, yes. I never entered the shed. I think I poked my head in the shed and seen that it was crowded, and I just stepped back out.
So you didn't participate in any conversation or discussion?
No, not at that point, no.
On the way from where you and Tristan left from the ambulance to back to the farm, did you have any discussion with him?
Very little. He was not very talkative. I made a couple cracks, not knowing the severity of anything that was going on. I made a couple cracks about the truck smelling like hogs, and he really didn't want to talk at all. So we were driving to the farm, and I told him that the officers were going to ask him a few questions and to tell him the truth and tell him what you know, not what you think might have went on.
Was he crying?
A little bit, maybe, not sobbing by any means.
But he wasn't very responsive to your...
Absolutely not.
After Tristan went in the shed to show the deputies around, did you have any more contact with Tristan?
Yeah. At that point, I went up to the house to check on the other two kids in the house, checked on what was going on there, and then I went back out, and Tristan was heading back towards the house, and he came in the house then. And then I went back out because the officers were still there to see if they needed anything else.
Did you have any further involvement in this?
As far as talking to officers or that, they came into the house after that and talked to Tristan again. And then after that, no, nothing.
So you went in with Tristan, went back out,
Mhm.
and then returned back in the house with the officers?
Correct.
Okay. But after that was the end of your involvement?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Kroger, and that's all the questions I have. They have some.
Cross-examination.
I have no questions, Judge.
Okay, thank you, sir. You can step
Thank
down.
That's it.
Anybody have any like, whoa, holy crap, that just happened thoughts?
Yes. 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 Well, we found the kids.
Well, no,
I already told you.
we already
I
knew
know.
we already knew where the kids were. It's the fact that nobody stopped in and told them they were leaving. That was my whole issue. I never understood why they wouldn't tell the children they were leaving. That's all. I just always thought that was weird.
Yeah.
There's not a whole, I mean, they didn't really offer anything other than to say that Tristan was emotionless. He wasn't like, screaming and crying. He wasn't, sobbing hard, that his, that's about it. I mean, that I don't, that's all they could do.
Yeah.
There's nothing else really. There's nothing to really break down there.
Did they ask him? Did they ask the second Michael guy like how he knew Amy or Todd?
No.
Well,
Or is it-
I thought he was a stranger until he's like, and then I hugged him and I was turning him and I was like, what?
Well, yeah, like how does he know
Why
this
are you
guy?
touching
And he
this
just gives
kid?
his truck and his kid to him. Like I don't. Trying to figure, did he know the dude?
Well, the cousin or something was building a house up the road or nearby, or
I don't know. It was weird to me.
Yeah, they don't discuss the relationship, how he knew these people well enough to just show. I mean, I get the following a patrol car. That's nosy. Okay. I get that. I can relate to that. Would I do it? Probably not. Paula, he's said that when he turned and was following the patrol car took him past his cousin's house or close to his cousin's house.
Yeah, the house the cousin was building.
Yeah,
I'm assuming they followed because they probably thought that it could have been something to do with the cousin, since the cousin's house is right there and he's building it.
Right.
But they're probably like, "Holy crap, what's happening?"
Right. But
but I don't even know if it's relevant. I guess it's not relevant how he knows him or why he would let him go. It's just as a mom, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, do you know this dude?
Right. See, that's my thing is I've got like 50 follow-up questions. How do you know him? How long have you known them? Why do you think do you think this is a good idea? You just let your children just go? Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm like, maybe
take my truck and my kid and you can just go.
The two most important things in my life, my truck and my kid. Here, take them.
And go get my other two.
Yeah. I got a couple back at the house. Could you swing by and collect them too?
It's just weird. I don't know.
It is. It's just weird. It's like it's weird because obviously there's an established relationship there, but there's nobody discusses the established relationship. So it's like this weird like hole in the plot,
Yeah. Well, like where was this guy an hour earlier? You know what I mean?
How old are you? Where do you work? How do you know this? Like,
because that's the defense. They hardly ever do that. State your name and all that for the record. It's weird, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do ask, but it's weird they didn't ask the age and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Debbie Oots. I feel like, yes, that's probably, it's just, obviously, they know each other, but it's weird that they don't mention that they know each other during the trial.
Right.
You know
well, and this guy lives an hour away. It's not even like, it's not like the guy's a neighbor, and of course you just figure they know each other. The guy says he lives an hour away.
Exactly.
So, I don't know.
And this is
Just
an even better point.
Something. Like, why is this guy? How do we even know this guy is credible? Like, anything. I don't know.
Exactly. And this is Paula Walking has an excellent point. How would the jury know if we don't? They're hearing what we're hearing.
Exactly.
So that's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. All right. Should we just get into the Todd?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. All right. Here we go. Let me make this bigger. We're doing it. It's happening.
Okay. Another witness for the defense.
Call Todd Mullis.
I like the fancy skirting around the tables. You don't often see that in courtrooms. It's an interesting decorating choice.
More like a banquet.
Yeah.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Hey, True Psych
Go ahead
Ward.
and
Hey,
have a
Crackling
seat.
Rosie. Perfect timing.
State your name, please.
For you guys
Todd
to slide
Mullis.
in.
Go ahead, counsel.
Mr. Mullis, where is your home?
Kind of northwest of Earlville.
Yep.
On a farm.
Do you know what the
On a farm.
mail address is?
Yes, it's 1722 255th Avenue in Earlville.
How old are you?
I'm 43.
What's the extent of your education?
I graduated high school,
Where did you attend high school?
Coconut Valley and Delhi.
Tell us a little bit about your family. Are your parents still alive?
Yes, my parents, Leroy and Elaine, are alive. They live just north of Earlville. And I got two brothers and two sisters.
What are your brothers' names?
Mike and Pat are my brothers. And
Sisters?
Lori and Lynn.
You have children?
Yes, I have 3 children.
Names?
Tristan, Taylor, and Wyatt.
And tell us a little bit about your occupation.
I farm crops. We got a hog operation, a custom feeding operation, where we raise out pigs for a company, JBS now. I sold chemicals, farm chemicals on the kind of on the side, I guess you'd say, as a substitute to earn more money. And then we always helped each other. So we were busy.
And your brother Mike just testified that you help farm with, or you help his farming operation and he in return helps you.
Yes. And we also farm with my other brother, Pat, and Dad. We farm each other's ground. We go wherever it's needed, I guess.
Okay.
Don't you worry, Debbie. We're all on the fence
Let's
over
go back
here,
in
too.
time a bit, Todd. How did you meet Amy?
I met Amy at the Delaware County Fair in Manchester. I think it was in 2003. And I just met her at the beer tent or something like that.
Okay. So it wasn't like it was a blind date or?
No, it was not.
How long did the two of you date before marrying?
It would have been, I'd say, it would have been about 14 months.
And where were you living when you met her?
I was living at the same farm where I'd live now.
Where was she living?
She was, at the time, was living in Marion or Cedar Rapids. I don't remember which one it was.
Was she employed when you met her?
Yes.
What was she doing?
She was working as, I think it was a bookkeeper in St. Luke's. I can't remember. She was changing stuff at that time. It's hard to remember exactly what position she held.
So when you got married, she moved into the family farm?
Yes, she did.
Did you own that property when you got married?
Yes, I did.
And what did you know about Amy's background in terms of where did she grow up? Was she a farm girl or a city girl or what?
Yes, I knew, she told me right away she grew up in Eldora on a farm, that her dad lived there. She didn't spend a lot of time talking about other places she was, other than growing up in Eldora and then ending up in Cedar Rapids area.
Now, what year did you get married?
In 04.
So at that time, did you have these hog buildings on the farm?
Not at the time, no.
Were you strictly a row crop operation, or did you have cattle?
At the time, we had dairy cattle at what I would consider my brother Mike's farm, and I was sharing the labor load there, helping that, and we had hogs on a bunch of different farms, but it was in small buildings, and then row crops.
Did Amy seem to settle in all right to farm life?
She seemed almost ecstatic about it. I mean, she was.
Okay, I only pushed pause because I'm curious how people feel about maybe kicking it up to 1.5 speed. Any objections?
I say
At
try it,
least-
see how it goes.
Yeah, that or 1.25 at least.
Okay, because
I
I've
was sitting there
literally-
thinking the same thing.
I was
I've-
too. So
I've-
yeah, I'm on board.
Okay, I was. We'll start out at 1.5, and if that's too fast, I'll go to 1.25. Because I was literally singing
You
verses
should
to
turn
songs.
the subtitles on too.
Okie dokie, artichoke.
Sorry.
No,
Oh,
no,
you're
babe.
right there.
Just while I'm here.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times we're going to get an applause. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Oh, wait, let me put this down here. So there we go. Okay.
She wanted to move in right away, I guess is what you'd say.
Do you have interest in outside of farming? In other words, sports, music, hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff?
Yes, I love to hunt and fish. In general, be outdoors. I mean, if it's tubing in a creek somewhere or canoeing or just various four-wheeling, anything outside.
How about Amy? What were her interests?
She liked the same things. From what I always understood, she loved it. She loved being outdoors. She liked being outside.
Did the two of you ever hunt together?
Yes, a lot.
What kind of hunting?
We did a lot of deer hunting, squirrel hunting, turkey hunting, I mean, all kinds of hunting, coyote hunting.
Was this all with a firearm, or was there bow and arrow also?
It was a bow and arrow and shotgun.
Okay. At some point, did Amy seek and obtain employment off the farm?
Off the farm?
Did she work somewhere in town?
Oh, yes. She was, well, she started off in St. Luke's, and then she worked there until, I can't remember exact year, but then she went to Manchester because it was closer, and we were having kids, and then she moved, or she switched to work up to there.
What was her, did she have a degree in something?
She started off, I think it was some type of a lower level nurse or secretary, but then she got her LPN, and then she almost immediately went after her RN, and then she was a registered nurse after that.
Where did she get her RN training at?
At Kirkwood.
And that training occurred after your marriage?
I think she was actually pursuing that when we met.
Okay. Todd, I'd like to then move forward to approximately 4 to 5 years ago in time. And we've heard a lot of testimony about Amy having an affair. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And was she working at the Manchester Hospital when that happened?
Yes, she was.
And we heard Terry Stainer talk about her and Amy were good friends at that time.
Trying to think, what year was that now?
When this first affair occurred?
Yes.
Okay. And after you learned of that situation, what did you and Amy do about it?
Well, basically after I discovered it, we decided, immediately that she wanted to make it, quit her affair, go to counseling. She was sorry. And then wholeheartedly work it out.
Terry testified that she encouraged you to both get counseling. Was that true?
Terry encouraged, this was before I discovered that she wanted Amy to go to counseling because she was sad or, depressed. This was before I knew about it. And then after I found out, Amy and I looked up a counselor out of the phone book, basically, but it was in Cedar Rapids. But Terry did encourage both of us to go.
Okay. Did the counseling that you obtained, did that seem to help?
Yes, we didn't go very long, but it really helped me to get a start, you know.
Did Amy seem to be all in on correcting the situation and moving in the right direction?
Yes,
Were you satisfied that she wanted to stay married and would be faithful?
yes,
Was there any direction given to you by this counselor as to how to work on your marriage as you went forward?
yes, there was several suggestions. She said Amy had basically be accountable for what she was doing. She, you know, if she was to go somewhere, you know, it was just courtesy to let me know. To, you know, be open, don't hold anything back. If she had a problem, talk about it. Just that in general, just to be open. And
Did the two of you try to practice that, to be open with each other?
yes, we did.
Did you talk about it?
Yes, we talked about everything. I mean, if there was anything on our mind, we talked about it.
Did she seem comfortable with that?
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll let him talk about his observations. Go ahead.
Yes, it got a lot. I mean, every week that went by and every conversation went by, it was easier and it really helped. It really progressed well.
Okay. It's been talked about or mentioned by a couple witnesses that Amy complained to them that you were keeping too close of control or too close of contact with her when she was not with you. Did she ever complain to you about that?
No, she never complained to me about it. It was actually her idea almost all the time too. If she went to town, she would just say, hey, headed to town, got to stop at, you know, this place, and this place. I don't, you know, just depended on where she was going. You know, and it was just real simple. Here's where I'm at. Shouldn't take long. I'll be home.
Was this
Things
mostly,
like that.
was this mostly being communicated back and forth by cell phones and text messages?
Yes, either a call or a text.
You spent a lot of time working farming.
Yes.
What would be a normal day starting time-wise?
It depends a little on the time of year. On an average day, when I'm not doing field work, I'd say 7 o'clock usually, you know, just depending on the time of year, 6:30, 7 o'clock. And then it was usually just go out, you know, take care of the hog chores. Then usually we went over to another site and did hog chores there. Usually I was communicating with my brother or dad about if they had anything going on at the beef operation. And it was just kind of a communication thing day by day. And then we always stayed busy doing something.
Would you generally have a family meal in the evening?
Almost every night.
Okay. After this, I'll keep calling it the first affair. Did your farming situation or your farming plan change?
Yes. Amy, it was after we went to counseling for a little bit, Amy came to me and said, I would really like to quit my job. I think by being home with the kids and you and not having to work weekends, we could spend more weekends together. She could be a stay-at-home mom, which she wanted to be, if there was any possibility to that. So at that time, I pursued building another hog barn to hopefully make a little bit of money, so to substitute her quitting her job. And we went forward with that plan.
Okay. When was the first hog barn built?
That was in 2012. Can I add something to that too? We also expanded on, I sold chemicals on the side, and when she moved back home, she took the books for it and got it on a computer system, and which helped expand that operation also.
Okay. In 2015, did you also acquire some ownership in some more land?
Yes, 2016,
Yeah.
or roughly. Yes, it was. There was a farm up by Greeley that my brother and dad and Amy and I purchased a farm up there at an auction.
And was that all work ground, farm ground?
No, it was actually there's a nice timber there on the one side of the road. There's some set aside acres, I guess you call them, where it's grass, I guess, but there's recreational ground and work ground together.
Was there a house and buildings there?
No.
Okay. Was there any part of that farm that had a special interest for you and Amy?
Yes, on the timber side, there was we had a pond. There was an old pond there, and we redid it and made it a real nice big pond. And we planted a bunch of trees where we plan to build a log cabin.
And did you have a year in mind or a time in your family's life when you wanted to build that cabin?
Not at first, but every time we would go up there, it seemed to be brought up more and more and more. And I think she was getting the itch to do it.
I want to back up a little bit, perhaps. You talked about going from where you live in your ground to another site to do chores and stuff. Was there ever any ownership in that other site or partial ownership?
Yes, I had a partial ownership in that.
And is that with your dad, Mike?
Yes.
In February of 2018, was there some transfer of ownership or titling of property change that occurred?
Yes, where I currently live, there was a small parcel where the house and the machine shed and some grain bins were, that was in my parents' possession, and it got transferred to Amy and I.
Did you actually buy it from them, or they just transferred it?
It was a purchase.
Okay. And that property, my notes indicate that was in February of 2018.
Yes.
At some
Oh
point in
my
your marriage,
God,
was
who cares?
the home remodeled?
Yes, in the spring of 2013, I proceeded myself in kind of gutting the house, the kitchen, living room, and remodeling the whole inside.
Was that before or after Amy's affair?
It was actually before and during.
Did you force her to quit the hospital?
No, I did not.
She wanted to.
She requested it, yes.
After the counseling that you jointly sought, she was now an at-home mom. How would you describe her feeling about that? In other words, did she seem comfortable with that?
She seemed overwhelmingly happy. She loved it.
From the time of that first affair and the rather dramatic changes that you two made in your lives after that, up until the summer of 2018, did you have any concerns about you and Amy and your marriage?
No.
Did Amy participate in activities apart from you in the farm during those years?
Yeah, she was. She liked to do the EMS voluntarily in Earlville. She liked to do that. She liked to go golfing with Terry. Pork producers, when she got into that, she'd always like to do something with other people.
Did she at some point take a houseboat trip with some friends?
Yes, that was. I think she was still working when she took that trip,
Okay.
but she did take a trip.
I believe there was some mention in some of your documents of a trip to Alaska.
Yes, she went with Randy and Peggy and Tristan, and they went to Alaska for I think it was a Ducks Unlimited thing with Randy, and they went up there for several days.
A trip to Florida.
Yes, that was in June of 2018. She went to Florida for Taylor's gymnastics
Now,
nationals.
during these years, was Amy's mom always living in the Ankeny area?
Yes,
Did she have regular visits with her?
yes.
Did you always go with her?
No, I did not.
Would it be more often that you did not go than if you did?
Yes.
Would the children usually go with her if she was going to see her mom?
It usually depended on the situation, and over the years it's changed as far as who went with her.
Why did it change?
The kids got older. When they were younger, actually when the kids were younger though, she was still working and she didn't really get down there that much. But when she quit, then she quit working. Then if there was any kids go, it would usually be Taylor or Wyatt or both.
Would some of those trips be associated later on, at least, with Taylor's tumbling?
Yes.
And were most of these things that you just described, golfing, lunches, trips, and so forth, those were being done without you being with her?
Yes.
And were you comfortable with that occurring?
Yeah, I actually encouraged it.
Now stepping ahead to July or summer of 2018, Mr. Frazier has indicated that you contacted him, and it had to do with him and Amy. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
And you're not denying you made such a call.
No, I'm not. I made the call.
What prompted you, or what brought that call about?
I had noticed that she was just acting a little different, and I had looked at a phone records, and I seen there was a large number of communications with him, and I just wanted to know what that was about. I was kind of curious. I wanted to know what was going on.
Was it true that Amy and Jerry had a legitimate basis to communicate about the hog operation?
Yes,
But this amount of communication seemed excessive to you?
it did to me, yes.
When you contacted Jerry, what did he say?
He just said, he goes, really, it's that many? Oh, well, she's been texting me a lot, asking about show pigs, and I know she wants to get your kids involved in show pigs. And it's just a lot of communication that way. And then I think he said that Amy was asking questions about gymnastics because Taylor was in gymnastics and his daughter was in gymnastics. And I think there was some talk about that too. Just general hog stuff or gymnastic stuff, kid stuff.
Okay. Did he assure you that there was nothing inappropriate going on?
Yeah, he said, I guarantee you there's nothing going on.
Did you accept that?
Yes, I did, but I was just a tad bit unsure yet.
And what did that unsureness lead you to do?
I asked, I called Eileen. I think I texted Terry about it too. And I said, hey, I just wanted to make sure that I'm not out of line, thinking that. And then Eileen said, well, I kind of asked her what she thought. She goes, well, I'd just call his wife, see what's going on. And I had also communicated with Randy too at that time, what he thought. He just kind of said, well, I don't know.
So did you contact Jerry's wife?
Yes, I did.
And what was her reaction?
At first, she sounded curious, and then she goes, "I'll look into it." And then I go, "Well, I just wanted to see. I just want to put that to rest." And then that was about it.
Did you at some point contact both Jerry and his wife and apologize for possibly upsetting them?
Yes, I did. I after talking to them, I was like, you know what? They both were not. I mean, they sounded very convincing. And his wife said, I don't see why there's anything would be going on. And after that, I just said, I'm sorry that bugged you. I hope I didn't cause any troubles between you.
Did this exchange between you and Jerry and his wife interfere with your relationship with Jerry as the field manager for the hogs?
No.
Did he continue to come to your farm on a regular basis?
Yes, same as always.
And would you normally be the person that he would deal with?
Yes.
Was there ever any, did you ever get to a point with Jerry that you felt comfortable enough to talk about things other than business, like hunting, fishing, sports?
Yeah, we talked kind of about everything. He would say, I got a buddy that farms, and he would talk about that, or he'd talk about his show pigs and how they were performing or how good he wanted to do at the state fair and just general other things.
Certainly a friendly relationship.
Yeah, we got along good.
Todd, from the witnesses and text messages and so forth that we have seen introduced here, it appears that around the end of August of 2018, Amy contacted you indicating that there may be rumors about her behavior again.
Yes.
And how did the two of you deal with that?
She approached me and asked and told me, she goes, told me about there might be some stuff going around. Terry, let me know that there's some rumors flying around. You know what people are. She asked me who I had talked to. And I just told her, well, I only talked to Jerry and his wife and Eileen and Randy. And then she was concerned at how they could get started. So we talked about that, like, well, who could have started that? Kind of went back and forth like that for a little bit. And she said, well, I just wanted you to know. So if you hear something, don't believe it, And then I'm like, oh, crying out loud, And then I just kind of thought about it, I guess, for a day or two and then let it go.
Everything seemed okay?
Yeah.
And this was around, I think we narrowed it down by phone calls and text messages. This would have been around the last day or two of August, 1st of September. Does that
Yeah,
sound right?
it was right around that time, yes.
Amy's grandfather had died, or grandmother had died that summer.
Yes, Grandma Margaret died.
And where was she living or hospitalized or wherever her death occurred?
She was in she lived in Eldora and had fallen, broken her hip earlier. And then she went to the old age home, and then she got sick from there and died in Eldora.
Okay. Did you attend the funeral?
Yes. The wake and the funeral, yes.
Was that the occasion that you met Patricia?
Yes, I met her the day before the funeral at the wake.
Had Grandma's illness and the fall and injury, had that caused Amy to be away from the farm some?
Yeah, she went out when she broke her hip, and I can't remember the amount of days, but she was gone at that time. And then when she got sick again, then she went out again and stayed for several days. And then she was out there when she actually passed.
when she was doing that with her grandma, were the kids going with her?
No, the kids were with me.
Was there another health issue in Amy's family that followed?
Yes, it was her uncle Jerry. We were actually at a football game, Amy and I, and she got a call from Randy about Jerry having a brain bleed on the golf course, and they had to haul him into the hospital, and just wanted to let her know that.
And did that result in a fairly significant hospital care and followed by rehabilitation?
Yes, it was quite lengthy. I mean, it was for a while there, they didn't know if he was going to make it, and they took part of his skull out and things like that, and it was long hospitalization and recovery.
Do you have an estimate of how many times Amy might have went down to, that was in Des Moines, right?
Yes,
How many times she might have visited down there checking on him?
I think she was gone in close to 30 days out of a couple months.
So almost half the time she was there?
I'm estimating it, yes, but I think it was close to 30 days.
Was she taking the kids there?
No,
Was her absence from the farm and the kids somewhat of a concern on your part?
not at first. I tried to just be understanding about it, but then it seemed to be dragging on a little bit. It's like, well, I mean, I was asking her, well, he's got kids too. Maybe they could share the load a little bit and help us at home, because we had a lot going on. We had, 4 buildings of hogs going out, plus harvest was going to start, and I was kind of swamped, getting the kids run around and to football practice and home and all that.
Did you discuss that with Amy, that it was starting to kind of weigh on you?
Yeah, I kind of I mentioned it, but I didn't really press the issue.
There were some text messages that we saw that between you and Terry, I think it was Terry, where this topic was coming up about her being away and not helping around home when she was at home and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Were you concerned about anything else though, other than the fact that she was gone a lot?
No, I was just, like I said, I was kind of swamped, and that's why probably when I text her and I go, I was overloaded with work and I just wanted some help. So I wanted to know if she had any suggestions, but other than that, no.
Okay. Did you become aware that Amy had, I call it a kind of a run-in with your mother about this?
Yes.
What happened, as far as you know?
As far as I know, I had my son Wyatt at my mom's because we were harvesting, and I had my daughter Taylor with me, and Tristan was with Mike. And I was down by the corner, and I got a call, and Amy told me she was kind of upset. She said, your mom blew up at me or something, to that effect. That she said I was a bad mom, and she didn't want me to take Wyatt, and she didn't want to stand for that. And I agreed with her.
Do you recall sending a text that you perhaps meant to send to Tristan, but it ended up going to Amy, that something to the fact that Amy was crazy?
No.
You don't remember that?
No, I did not. I was actually told Eileen that there must have been a fight. I sent Eileen a text that there must have been a fight. Amy and Mom got in a fight, and Mom wanted her out of the house.
Okay. Did you ever have words with your mother about what she had said and done?
Yes, immediately.
Did you stick up for Amy?
Yes, I did. I told her that you can't talk to Amy that way. There's no reason for it. I know she's been gone a lot, but she's had a lot of trouble with her family, with health problems. You got to be understanding about that. And Mom agreed then.
Okay. From the time that you had these contacts with Jerry and his wife, just to clear the air, up until the time of Amy's death, did you have any suspicions at all that she was having an affair?
No.
Other than the illnesses in the family and her absences that you just described, you didn't sense that there was anything going on behind your back?
No, I did not, because she was also upset with her and being concerned for her mother Peggy, because she was stressed out from the loss of Margaret and now Jerry. It was her brother and her mother, that she was overwhelmed and she was just stressed out from that. So if there was any stress signs from Amy, I attributed it to her being concerned for her family. And then
is that stress that you were witnessing the reason you were texting with Terry about getting her to counseling?
Yes, there was also, she was bleeding abnormally on her periods. She would bleed like that, and I'm going, there's just something going on with her. I would like to help her, but I don't know how to help her.
In one of those text messages, it looked like you had done some research about menopause.
Yes, I did. I was concerned because she would say, I'm just bleeding again. I don't know what the heck's going on with me. And then she would have mood swings. And I was like, well, I'm not a woman, So I looked it up, and there was symptoms on there that were consistent with what she was showing. So I showed it to Amy.
The state introduced Exhibit 105, which is a partial history of Google searches on your Google account, toddmullis76@gmail.com. You recall that?
Yes.
And you had the iPad that your brother Mike spoke about this afternoon.
Yes, it was on. Yes.
Did you use that iPad a lot for research and accomplishing basic farm things, I guess I'll call them?
Yeah.
Did anyone else use that iPad?
Yes.
Who?
Amy used it a lot for downloading chemical bills. She kept track of bills, so she would look on her email and get a bill. She would look on my email, get bills, and enter them into the computer in the shop. That way she didn't have to run back and forth. And she would research price quotes a lot. Mike used it. I think my nephew used it.
Was there a password to it?
Yes.
Did Amy have the password?
Yeah, she's the one who actually put it in for me.
Okay. And was it possible on that iPad to go from one Google account to another?
Yes.
Were you aware, or did you ever become aware, that Amy used that iPad to search for personal things like clothing or jewelry or that kind of thing?
I didn't watch her every time, but she could have, yes.
And you weren't, I assume you weren't contacting Google every month to get a printout of your activity.
No, I didn't track what she was looking up or using it for.
Okay. But you've looked through State's Exhibit 105.
Yes.
And today we printed off a larger, more complete version of that Google printout. And you've looked at that?
Yes, I have.
You were present when Deputy Hemseth testified that about certain searches about cheating spouses or cheating wives, that kind of thing. Did you do those searches?
No, I did not.
Did you know it? Do you know who did?
I have no idea who looked that up.
Did you and Amy ever discuss topics like that between the two of you?
If there was a movie or something, we might have talked about a little bit of something like that, but not extensively, no.
Did the two of you enjoy together history programs?
Yes, we watched History Channel a lot.
Did that ever lead to a follow-up search by either one of you?
Yes, quite often, actually.
Did you and Amy both enjoy history of Native American and other Indian populations?
Yes, we both would watch a show and look stuff up.
There were some searches, and I'll give you some examples. One, I think it was on January 15th of 2018, where I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but it was something to the effect of keeping your son from becoming a pussy. You remember that?
I remember seeing it, yes.
Did you do that search?
No, I did not.
Do you know was there an issue in the home about your son or sons?
Yes, there was an issue there when there was a kid taking money from him on the bus, or he would take a snack and he would take it from him. And we were discussing that because he'd always keep asking for money for breakfast. And we kind of questioned him about it. And then I think one of the other kids said, I think somebody's taking his money every day. And we both discussed like, hey, we got to encourage him to stand up for himself.
So you and Amy both discussed
Yes.
that? There was mention that I believe that Tristan was made to quit the band because band people were pussies. Is that something you conveyed?
No, I did not.
Why did Tristan quit playing music?
Yes, he did. But it was he just said he wanted to quit, on his own. That's what he told me, or us, that he wanted to quit.
Did he participate in other extracurricular activities other than band?
Yes, he was in football.
Did he enjoy football?
He loved football, but he was starting to get more all the time.
A close exam, and I don't think it's been mentioned, but since it's part of the exhibits, there were searches for a site called Pornhub. Are you familiar with that site?
Yes.
And what's on Pornhub, or what can you see on Pornhub?
Adult videos.
Okay. Did you ever watch adult videos on your iPad?
Well, yeah, both Amy and I did.
Right. You did together?
Yeah, we did.
And how would that come about?
Well, I'm not 25 anymore, I guess, and if she wanted to go make an hour or two out of it, I guess. We needed a little outside help, I guess you'd say.
Okay, kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
There was a search that the deputy mentioned specifically. On November 6th, body organs, maps, and diagrams. Do you remember him talking about that?
Yes.
And that was the day of Amy's surgery, right?
Yes.
And do you recall, did you do that search?
Actually, it was my daughter Taylor and I were sitting on the couch, and she was asking him about mom's surgery and all sorts of questions. And we looked it up because it was easier to just show her what was going on, where stuff was.
And there was an issue this morning that we brought up about the time of these things. Like that search on November 6, 2018, on this says 1:48 and 27 seconds UTC. Did you do that search at 1:48 in the morning?
No.
Do you remember about what time of the night or what time of the day or night you did?
I know it was in the evening sometime.
Okay. And have you looked at this UTC thing to figure out what it is?
I just, from going by what you said before, that it was an offset in time.
All right. And you looked at some of these other ones, and that offset would seem appropriate for other searches that were done?
Yeah, I would say, yes.
There was also some mention of searches about starving to death, drowning, floating, those kinds of things. Do you remember, did you do any of those searches?
The drowning ones were with the kids and swimming. We were swimming in the pond, and Tristan would say, I can float so much better than Wyatt, and then they looked it up when they got home.
And there was some other searches about chest wounds, gaping chest wounds, surviving in cold, start a fire, that kind of thing. What were those about?
That was actually, Taylor was going through a hunter education program, and it was an online thing, and she was studying for it, and they had these questions on a computer, and I think, it was Amy trying to help her out. It was all about a hunter education course.
You want me to approach?
Yes.
Todd, I'm going to hand you a document which has been marked as Defendant's Exhibit NO. Would you take a look at that? And on the front page up at the upper left-hand corner on line 3, what does it say?
It says Google account Todd Mullis 76 at gmail.com.
And on line 7, what is the last entry date shown?
Say that again.
On line 7, what is the date?
Oh, 11/16 of 2018.
Go to the last page, please. On line 2,945, what's the date there?
March 10th, 2017.
Okay. And you've had a chance to just at least skim through this or review this.
Yeah, I briefly looked it over.
Okay. I'd like to have you go back to the front, but page down using that number in the left-hand column and go to 347. You found it?
Yes.
And what's the date there?
It's July 22nd, 2018.
And what is the search for?
Wedding dresses.
Did you do a search for wedding dresses that day?
No, I did not.
Have you ever searched for wedding dresses?
I've never searched for wedding dresses.
Okay. If you go down to a few pages to 507 in the left-hand column.
Okay.
Found it. What's the date there?
July 3rd, 2018.
And what's the search for there?
Ohana tattoos.
Did you ever search for a Ohana tattoo?
No, I did not.
Have you heard that name before?
I hadn't until the other day.
Here in the courtroom?
Yes, in the courtroom with a text from PK, I believe, or between PK and Amy.
What do you mean by PK?
Patricia Christopherson. I was always referring to her as PK. That's what Amy always called her.
Go to 517, please. A few lines down.
That's July 2nd, yes.
What's the search there?
Ohana tattoos.
and 518. Or excuse me. No, I was wrong there. I'm sorry. Did you ever do a Pinterest search?
No,
Do you know what Pinterest is?
I have no idea what Pinterest is.
Did you? Go way down to 2,596. What's the
Okay.
date? What's the date there?
January 21st, 2018.
And what's the search for there?
It says DNA testing, discreetly doing a DNA test without consent possible.
What's the next one down? What's the search there for?
It says how to do a DNA test without the father knowing.
Did you ever do any searches about DNA testing?
No, I did not.
Did Amy ever talk to you about her doing such searches?
No,
Did she ever discuss at all with you any concern about DNA or some project she might be working on, anything like that?
no.
And I'm going to make you travel back to 432, I believe. Yes, 432. What's the date there?
July 15th of 2018.
And what's the search for?
Zales.com.
Did you ever search for Zales?
No, I did not.
Going up to the top of that page, 417. What's that search for?
Case jewelry.
Was that a search by you?
No, it was not.
And I think I asked the deputy this morning, there was searches for hotels in the Newton area during the summer of 2018. Did you do those?
No, I did not.
Have you ever searched, to your memory, for hotels on your iPad?
I've never searched for hotels.
So based on this review of the Google summary, do you agree with the deputy that it was only you doing these searches?
I disagree with that.
All right, Mr. Mullis, I'm going to move ahead now specifically to November 10th, 2018. And unfortunately, that was the day of Amy's death, correct?
Yes.
We heard from Tristan, 2 days ago, I believe. But I want to ask you, what do you recall from basically getting up in the morning? What were your steps starting out?
We got up. I think we kind of hung around the house just for 10 or 15 minutes. I was very tired yet from, the harvest and things like that. But we hung around the house. Tristan and I got dressed. We took the truck and went over to what we call the east site. And we did chores over there. We checked both barns, went through them. When we were done with that, I briefly stopped and talked to Mike about my nephew did some ripping the night before, chisel plowing. I asked him, hey, do you think it'll work today? And he said no. So I said, hey, well, I guess we got pigs coming next week, so we'll probably just go home and do that. And
So why was the ripping or chisel plowing not appropriate that day?
the ground was too froze. My nephew commented that when he got done the night before, he said, it's not going to work.
So you and Tristan went back to the home?
Yes, we went back home and we went in the house and ate some breakfast. And we were just talking to, kids, and Amy was sitting there doing a puzzle, and she asked what was up. And I said, well, we're going to go out and start getting the buildings ready.
Do you remember there being any discussion topic about holidays?
Oh, yes. She had mentioned that Rainey and Peggy on her side of the family was having Thanksgiving. I can't remember exactly what day that was, but she said it was coming up in the coming week or two, and wanted to know how that would work with us and the pigs and all that.
Did you as a family generally try to spend holidays with both sides of the family?
Yes, we tried. Yes.
So let me ask you this. This plan to go out and work in the hog barn to get things ready, was that something you just announced, or did you discuss it with Amy and Tristan, or tell us how that came about?
Actually, we had just walked in, and I think Tristan or Taylor, or Amy mentioned to Tristan, I got a little breakfast left over, and what are you guys up to? And then I don't remember if it was me or Tristan said, we're going to go out and work in hog barns, get them ready.
Because you and Tristan had already had that
Yes.
topic when you decided not to do the ripping.
Yes, we went over that at Mike's.
was there any reaction from Amy when you announced that you were going to go out and start getting the barns ready?
Yeah, she basically I think she just asked, hey, you need some help? Mind if I come out?
Now, this was November 10th, and you mentioned that on November 6th, she had a medical procedure completed.
Yes.
And you heard Terry describe that medical procedure. Was that pretty accurate as you understood it?
Yes, as to my knowledge. I didn't witness the surgery, but I would assume that was the procedure.
And did you take Amy to that surgery that day?
Yes, I did.
And it was an outpatient surgery, I assume?
I think that's what you call it. Yeah, we went in. It was in the emergency room, but that was a surgery or room off to the side.
But she didn't stay overnight in the
No,
hospital?
she did not stay overnight.
From that day, from November 6th up to November 10th, was she as physically active as she normally would be?
No, she spent almost 24/7 in the house. She was just resting, and that's basically all she was. She was cooped up in the house.
So when she said, you know, do you need some help or can I help? What was your reaction?
I said, if you're okay with it, that's fine.
So did you all go together out to the hog barn?
No, Tristan and I went out first. We went out first, and then Amy came out. She wasn't dressed yet for chores. She was in her pajamas yet, and we were dressed already. So we went out first, and then she came out a little bit later.
Do you have an estimate as to what time you and Tristan would have went out to the hog barn?
I think it was it was after 9, by 9:30, sometime around there.
And Tristan described the various things that each of you were doing when he testified by video the other day. Was he accurate?
Yes, there was a few things we do in addition to what he was saying, but I was doing those jobs, so it makes sense.
He was getting those heaters and getting them to the pins.
Yes.
Amy was cleaning light globes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
And you were getting these nipple feeders down.
Yeah, I was getting the nipple bars down and zip tying them in place, but I was also hanging the brood heaters at the same time.
Okay. At some point, did you notice anything about Amy that concerned you?
Yes.
What?
She got down a couple times and she would brace herself against the feeder, and she was kind of just like readjusting herself. And I think Tristan asked at first, he goes, "You okay, Mom?" Because he was closer to her. And she goes, I just feel dizzy, lightheaded. And then we asked her if she was okay. And she goes, is there something we should be concerned about? She goes, "No, I'm fine."
So all of you continued with your work?
Yes, we just kept doing the same thing.
Was there any further concern about how Amy was doing?
Yes, it not every pen, but every so often she would get down and have to, it would take her longer to readjust, and she said she was just dizzy. She kept getting dizzy. So we just kept asking her if she was okay. Sure, you want to go back in the house? And she goes, "No, I'll keep going. It ain't that bad."
But she indicated that she wanted to be helpful.
Yes, she didn't want to go back in. She didn't want to feel worthless, I guess.
And in good health, this would certainly be something that Amy would be engaged in fully.
Yes, it would be no problem.
Okay. At some point, did she concede and agree to leave the hog barn?
Yes, after multiple times of asking her if she was okay. We were concerned about her. Both Tristan and I were concerned about her, and we kind of go, "Hey, I think, you're going to get too hurt here. You're going to fall off. So why don't you just go in the house?"
And she agreed?
Yes, reluctantly, yes.
How did this thing with the pet carrier come about?
The pet carrier she didn't want to go at first. She kept saying, "I'm going to keep going. I'm all right." And then Tristan actually suggested, he goes, "Hey, Dad, we need to get that pet carrier out." And I go, "Yeah, Amy, why don't you go do that? Why don't you go get that pet carrier out of the shed, because we're going to have to get the skid loader and water tote out. We don't want to run over them cats."
The
That'd be
skid loader,
something good to help us out.
the skid loader and water tote was going to be used to water the chickens.
The chickens across the road, yes.
And these kittens had been orphaned?
Yes, they were orphaned for a while.
And what was the pet carrier what was that going to be used to do to help
Well,
with the kittens?
But we're going to use the pet carrier to put the kittens in while we back machinery in and out. That way we knew where they were at, and we could back them in and out, and we wouldn't have to worry about running them over.
Okay. So Amy left the hog barn.
Yes.
Tristan mentioned something about wearing boots in the hog barns. Did you wear special boots in and out?
Yes.
And what was the reason for doing that?
We use that so we don't carry disease from one site to another. We would take our work boots off and then slip like a slip-on boot on just for them hog buildings.
Okay. So when Amy left the building, it was your understanding she was going to go to the shed, get the pet carrier, and do what with it?
She was going to put it in front of the shop and then go in the house.
What did you and Tristan do after she left the hog barn?
We just continued working, doing our jobs, hanging nipple bars and brooders and washing lights.
At any point, did you become aware that Tristan had stepped out of the main part of the hog barn at any time?
Yeah, I think I seen him go down towards the end to get a drink. Yeah, that's what he said he was going to do. I'll grab a drink quick, Dad.
Was he gone very long?
No.
Did he do that more than once?
As he stated he did it twice. I would guess that'd be accurate.
Do you have an estimate of how many minutes or seconds he would have been out of the main part of the barn getting the drink before he returned?
It's a matter of seconds.
Okay. While he was doing that, did you ever leave the barn?
No, I did not.
About how long did you and Tristan work there before you decided to do something different or something else developed?
We worked in there, I'd say a good hour, if not a little more. I mean, I didn't check the actual time, but I would estimate it was at least an hour or hour and 15 minutes or something. And then we were done with the barn. We had all the pens done.
What was your plan once that work was completed?
We were going to go in and grab some lunch. And then after that, we're going to go to the other barn.
So did you go straight to the house?
No.
Describe what happened next.
We went in to clean up, change our boots. And as we were doing that, me and Tristan were standing in front of the window at that time. And I go, well, that pet carrier over there. And he goes, yeah, I wonder what happened. That's what Tristan, and it was in a conversation. Well, what happened? We didn't know. Well, maybe she couldn't get it out of there. I don't remember which one of us said those words, but we were having a conversation of why isn't it over there? And then Tristan said, you want me to go check it out? And I said, yeah, why don't you go over there and check it out? She might not have been able to get it out of there.
Okay. So he went on his own?
Yeah, and then he went over to see what happened.
Okay. Well, he went over there to see
whatever.
What went on with the pet carrier?
Yeah, if she couldn't get it out, he was going to grab it.
What did you do after he left the building to go do that?
I was just finishing washing my hands up. I just slipped my boots off, slipped on my other boots, and then I proceeded to go outside.
What happened when you went outside?
I had just stepped out for a second, and Tristan yelled.
Did you go to him?
I looked over and I was kind of like, what, And then he yelled really loud again, and then I ran over there.
Where was Tristan in relation to the shed? Was he inside, outside?
He was yelling out of the opening. He was just outside the opening yelling at me. And then as I was running over, he was just standing just inside the door.
And did he say anything to you about what was upsetting him?
I don't remember him saying anything. He was more or less, Mom. He was just kind of speechless.
What did you see when you stepped in through that door?
Well, when I stepped in, I initially looked at Tristan, and I looked over, and I seen Amy hunched up, face down, laying next to the door, leaning against the door.
Did she have this corn fork stuck in her?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I more or less just dove down by her. I put my head down. I was like, Amy. I was yelling at her, trying to get her attention. I didn't know what to think. I was just looking at her, and I picked her head up a little bit, and it was just nothing. It was no response.
So what did you decide to do?
I just wanted to help her. I just wanted, let's go to the hospital. There's something wrong. Right now, I just reacted.
Did you pick her up?
I started to pick her up. I went under her armpits, and I was trying to lift her up, and that fork handle was jabbing in the tote out the caging. And then I realized, hey, this ain't gonna work. So I just set her down more or less a little bit in my arm. I just reached over, I pulled the fork out, I tossed it, and I got underneath her, and I told Tristan, go get the truck, gotta go.
And he did?
Yeah, he took off, and then I tried to get her up and get her out of the barn.
Did she ever become responsive at all?
No.
How did you get her placed in the truck then? How was she situated?
Well, I got her out of the barn, and it was kind of hard. She was like a noodle, and I got underneath her, and I carried her like this, and Tristan was standing by the truck and get the door open, and he told her, get in there, and you gotta help me get her in, and he sat down in the seat, and I go, you gotta hold her, because I can't get her in there decent, It was hard to get her in the door, and then I set her on Tristan, and he was holding her up in the seat, and it was hard to get her legs in, and then I closed the door, and I ran around the truck and took off.
At any point, did you think about just letting her there and calling 911?
I did not. I didn't. I'm a doer, I guess. I want to help. Let's go.
Did you call 911?
Yeah. As soon as I got in the truck out of the driveway, I called 911.
And that's the call that we listened
Yeah.
to. Did the deputies that described what they saw when they arrived, did they accurately describe what was happening there?
Yeah, my memories is such a hyped up moment. I would agree with that.
I believe one of the witnesses described you as being excited.
Yeah, I was very excited. I think I had adrenaline pouring out my ears. I was in reaction mode. I wanted to get her to the hospital. Let's go.
Michael Krogman testified this afternoon that he kind of took over with Tristan at your request.
Yeah, Michael and Tom showed up, and everybody showed up, and it was just kind of everybody showed up at once. And I think it was Michael and a couple of the EMTs. They said, you better turn him away. You better not look at this. So Michael grabbed him and took him over there, and then one of the EMTs says, why don't you go over and comfort your son? So I went over by Michael and Tristan, and at that time, I remember telling Michael, hey, he's got blood on his coat. Maybe put your coat over him, And Michael took his coat off and put his coat on him so he wouldn't see that. And then I thought of my other kids, and I was thinking of, oh my God, they're home alone, and I wanted to call Mom and go over and make sure watch the other two kids, and then it was just back and forth. I didn't really know what to do.
And then you followed in another Krogman's truck pickup, followed the ambulance into the hospital.
Yeah, Tom was there, and he said, "Why don't you hop in with me? Let's go."
When you got to the hospital, were you allowed to be in and around Amy, or were they working on her?
No, not at first. They were working on her. I just remember being there was a waiting room there, and some friends were there with me, and I think it was Tom and Carol. We were in there with me, and we just waited.
At some point, I assume medical people informed you that she'd passed.
Yeah, I don't know how long later. I think it was Gerst came in and told me that, and there was a priest, and they were all there.
By that time, had your family arrived?
Yeah, I can't remember. Honestly, I think Mike was there maybe. I just can't remember exactly who was all showing up at that time. I remember there's a bunch of people coming in.
Out at the location where you met the deputies in the ambulance, do you remember expressing to them what you thought had happened?
I remember when I was on the 911, it was like the 911 call said, I said, she must have fell in a corn fort. And then when I got over there, at Brian's, I think somebody asked me again, I really don't know what happened. I thought she fell on it. I don't know.
And you spoke with Deputy Thompson at the hospital briefly?
Yes, I think he spoke to me at least 2 times, yes.
And a similar conversation or an explanation of what you thought might have happened?
I don't know if I explained what I thought happened. I just explained what we were doing that day. He had asked what we were doing that day, and then I just said that I found her there, and I don't know if he specifically asked what I thought happened.
So you gave him an idea of what you just told the
Yes, I didn't say I knew what happened. I just said this is what my perspective was. This is what I witnessed.
At some point, while you were still at the hospital, were you requested to go to the sheriff's office and have a conversation there?
Yes, Luke Thompson came up to me and he said, "Hey, is it okay if we just take you downtown and explain it one more time?" The best of my memory, that's what he said.
You cooperated with that?
I said, "Well, if you need me to, that's fine. Let's go."
After you left there, where did you go?
I went back up to the hospital. He took me back up to the hospital. I wanted to be there for Randy and Peggy when they got there, so I waited there till they got there, and then after that, it went home.
Okay. Were the kids at home when you got home?
Yes, they were home at that time.
Your mom and dad there?
Yes, all my family was there at that time.
Okay. When would have been the next time you had any contact with law enforcement about this?
It was a few days later, 3 days later, 4 days later. Sheriff Leclerc called me and said they're wanting to wrap this up. Want to wrap up this investigation. Could you come down and talk about it? He asked how the kids were, things like that. And then I said, well, if you need me to come down, I'll get cleaned up and come down.
What had you been doing day to day in between Amy's death and that phone call?
Making some plans, looking up some songs and things like that for wake or funeral, and getting the kids ready to go. I put the kids in school right away to keep a routine going, and just making plans.
When you got to the sheriff's office, did you participate in the interview that we saw parts of today?
Yes, I did.
Had you had much sleep in that span of time?
No, I didn't. No.
Had you heard any rumors around town?
Yes, they said the rumors are going crazy.
Rumors that you might be in trouble?
Judge, I'm going to object to any rumors. That is clearly hearsay and there's no foundation to the context.
It would be hearsay.
I'll change the question. Thank you. When you started into that interview, were you expecting to be accused of your wife's murder?
No, not at all.
Were you still apprehensive about being interviewed by the agent?
Not at first. Then I was after a little bit. I mean, the length of time, I was like, what is going on?
Okay. Do you believe, well, let me see. The agent, this DCI agent this morning said that, in his opinion, you never denied killing Amy. Do you think you did?
Yes, I did.
And you did so how?
I stated that you want me to confess to something I did not do. And in my mind, that's saying I did not do that.
Was he giving you much of a chance to explain things?
Not at all. I tried several times and he wouldn't give me a chance to say 2 words.
Just a few more questions, Todd. Deputy Hempstead said this morning that he went and checked the security cameras that were on your hog barn. You heard that?
Yes, I did.
Did you know that they were not operating?
No, I did not know.
You heard your brother Mike's testimony about what would disrupt those cameras.
Yes, I did.
Do you believe that that's, in your experience, did that type of thing happen? The cats knock the antennas down?
Yes, because the colder it gets, cats go heat. And there's a heater right below the window. Sun comes up in the morning. They sit in the window.
Now, he said, and I don't have my notes in front of me right now, but that the one, well, maybe I do. That the one camera had no activity on it from September 11th to October 29th. And you checked it to see if that's true?
I had never rewound it. I had not checked.
And one of the cameras had nothing at all on it. You did check that?
No.
Right. Now, he did say that on November 11th, there was some activity on one of the cameras.
Yes,
Can you explain that?
it was the day after. I think after talking to family members and stuff, they go, hey, maybe, did you have anything on the camera? Maybe they're figure something out if she's falling over, whatever in the yard. We didn't know. So I went out the next day. I seen everything was knocked off, hanging down by the floor. I picked it all back up. I got the signal. And I said, well, there ain't no use trying to look into that because obviously it was all knocked over. I did not know how long it had been off or whatever.
Did you activate it though somehow that day?
Yeah, when I picked the antennas up off the ground and put them back so they receive reception, yes.
Okay. But you didn't expect to see anything on there because they weren't?
Well, everything was on the ground.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. At the end of that short conversation that Deputy Thompson had with you at the hospital, I believe he asked you at the end if he could talk to Tristan. You remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
And I think that you made a comment, something to let me talk to him, something like that.
Yeah, I believe I did.
Did you go talk to Tristan before he talked to him?
I never got a chance to. I went out and I was gonna say, is it okay? But there was a whole bunch of people outside the waiting room and I started talking to them. I never did talk to Tristan. And then Luke came over and he said, is Tristan in there? And I go, I think so. And then he went and grabbed him.
So you weren't present when Thompson talked to
No,
Tristan?
I was not.
Okay. Todd, did you ambush your wife Amy in that shed that day and brutally beat her and chop her up with that corn fork?
No, I did not.
Do you know who did?
I have no idea.
Your Honor, I would offer that Exhibit NO at this time. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit NO is admitted.
No other questions?
Okay. I think we'll quit there for the night, folks, and come back with cross-examination in the morning. I am going to talk with the attorneys very briefly about how we're doing on time and witnesses. So I'm going to have you go to the jury room, and I'll let the court attendant know what time we need you in the morning. Remember the admonition. Keep an open mind about everything, and you will report to the jury room as always.
Oh, whoops.
What do you think of Todd?
Well, man, this.
The cats didn't touch the cameras.
That's Alice. That's how Alice rolls.
Yeah, Alice is lying.
Look at her face.
The cameras.
I think it's feasible that the cats knocked the antennas over.
I do too. I'm just making a joke.
Oh.
I needed a little. I needed some humor. I needed a minute because it was. I gotta say, I feel like. Wow, I felt for Todd. I did. I felt
too.
that at the end when they finally got to it and were asking him the hard questions, I could tell he was upset.
Right.
I believed his emotion, but I believe that he's a guy's guy, and I believe that there was no way he was going to cry in front of that jury. I don't think he's a public crier, and that's just what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
However,
you could hear its voice catch though.
Yeah. However, I will say this.
Ooh.
Believing that his emotions were sincere in that moment doesn't make me
him not a
think.
killer.
Yeah.
Drop a link for True Psych Word. I want to hear her thoughts.
Well, tell her to come up. She's got the link.
Get up here.
Get up here, Dr. B. I felt like there were parts of his story that weren't believable.
Like what?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I felt
an example.
I felt like when he talked about their marriage, I don't think he was honest. I don't think that he was as cool, calm, and collected as he portrayed himself to be, and his understanding as he portrayed himself to be with respect to her lady girl problems. I don't think that he was calm, cool, and collected about the affair.
Or her going for 30 days to stay with family when he was doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it wasn't like, well, I really need you here, but it's okay.
Right.
See, I guess I'm totally opposite because I take all the testimony from what these other people have said, and that's how he talks. That's what he did. He's talking to the stepmom in the kitchen, like, so you know what's up with Amy? She's like, oh yeah, I know. He's like, all right. And she's like, I see you guys working it out. He's like, yep. You know, he's not in there like bad mouthing her, pissed off. There's nobody says that. Same thing when it comes to like freaking Frasier's, both of them. It's
right.
like, are you overly texting my wife? And he's like, yeah, you know, I didn't know it was that much, but you know, okay. And then he calls back and apologizes. To me, it fits his personality.
It's a weird exchange on it. I mean, it's a weird exchange. It's not that it's not, but that part, I think that when it comes to Todd, do I think the people that testified about his personality were telling the truth? Yes. I think that he was that way in front of other people, but I don't think he was that way in front of his wife. I think that I think there was more anger when he was asking about the affair.
It's probably more emotional. I agree with that. I agree with that. Okay.
Well, I don't know, because my husband never, ever gets angry at me because he knows that I have PTSD over it. So he'll never raise his voice at me. If he's mad, I'll walk away and I'll hear him mumble something, but he won't ever say anything mean to me.
The mumbling
no matter
takes me off more.
It does. I'll be like, what'd you say?
Dr. B!
Hi, I think I just got stuck in some snow. No big deal.
Legit, like the car's stuck or you're stuck?
The car is stuck,
Okay,
but
well,
it's okay. It's like in the driveway.
What you
Yeah,
got?
so I don't believe Todd. Like, he is not sincere. Okay, so there's so I listened to the first part of the testimony when they were asking him about how they met and everything. And basically, like, first the first thing that I kind of like try to take into consideration is that, like, if he had like any sort of like adequate defense, he probably was prepared for his testimony. So that's automatically like you gotta take that into consideration, that a lot of the testimony like is going to be artificial in that it's been prepared. Like, he knows it's a quiz, like he has answers to all the questions. But then, even so, then taking into account that it was prepared, meaning that like you could have put some thought into the answers and you still come back with like, just like not being able to explain that your wife got a degree in nursing and was able to work at a hospital. Like, that's just kind of like shows like how much he really like valued her and valued her opinion or valued her education or valued her, period. And then on top of it, like, to say that like, oh, she always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, conveniently after like the affair was outed. Like, the affair happening in the first place is a telltale sign of like this marriage, there's something off. And then what topped it off for me, where I was like, oh yeah, total bullshit. So as someone who has experience with like couples in treatment, I will tell you immediately that when he was like, oh yeah, it worked great for me. It worked great for me. I don't know about her, but it was great for me. I was like, oh fuck. I mean, pardon my French, but that was definitely not how that works. And then, like, that the therapist told her, like, you must be accountable. Like, like, he's a total control freak. Like, he was a closet narcissist. I do believe that there was a dark side to Todd and that he's playing it down like, oh, I'm just a farm boy. Ha ha ha. But, this is like, in the manner that she was murdered is pure just rage. And yeah, and so it fits kind of like the profile, I guess, if we look at like victimology and everything. So that's why like Todd has the numbers and statistics against him. So the only like way, I guess, that like I would be convinced maybe that there are other options is if there is like more compelling evidence that there's something else going on, because Todd is not convincing me.
Well, we
And
don't know
that's,
if there's other evidence because it wasn't tested.
well, I'm going to, just then take into consideration statistics, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that if they do test it, they will be Todd's results. So
I have to agree with you, especially about, I think it is a generalization, and I think it's a wrong assumption that men don't remember significant events, like
yeah,
how they met their wife, or what that that she was got a degree, and all the
yeah,
things.
like,
I do think that I don't think that's
sorry.
true. I do think that men do remember that stuff. Do they remember it in the same way that women do? No, but they remember it. And I think that what didn't fit for me about the whole staying home was that there seemed to be a struggle for money because it's farming, and that's just a
Mm-hmm.
given. And yet she had a degree. She was an RN, for Pete's sake. They make good money. And
Mm-hmm.
and he had to go and sell chemicals on the side, which is an interesting turn of phrase in and of itself. On the side, was that
Yes.
off? You know what I'm saying? Was that off the books? What was going on there? But I don't think that Amy voluntarily quit her job
Quit. Yeah.
because she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, because all of her friends are testifying that she was a city gal and she was bored out of her mind.
Yeah, and to become an RN, that means like you're making a commitment, you're investing into your career and your future. And so you know, get this education that's expensive, and you end up paying the bill for it and not even like working in the field to like have that even like just pay itself off or whatever. You know, and it just doesn't make sense. It's not logical. But for Todd, it's just like so matter of fact, like, you know, oh yeah, like he's completely oblivious, and that's just a huge red flag. And if you know, like she had to graduate, you know, at some point, like wasn't that like something that would have been like, oh yeah, I do remember, even if he was like the biggest farm boy ever, like you would remember like going to your wife's graduation. Like, I don't know. So I think he's just really playing dumb and naive. Like, okay, so I'm, you know, like being so conclusive in my thinking, so I'm not being very open, but you know, I'm just kind of like rambling my initial thoughts. Like this would be what I would be writing and reflecting on in my little jury notes.
I want to know who the first affair was with. Was it somebody at the hospital, maybe? That would make a big difference.
Yep, I agree.
I would like to know that as well, but I will also say this. Despite everything that I just said as far as who Todd is as a person, at the end of the day, what it boils down to for me is means, motive, and opportunity.
Mhm.
Okay. He definitely had the motive. He definitely had the means, but did he have the opportunity? And I have to say, I don't know. I don't think so, because mainly because of his son's testimony, because he's the
Right.
only other witness to this. And he did change his testimony. I shouldn't say change his testimony. He had a deposition is testimony, but what was presented in court. They didn't actually present the depositions in court, but they referred to them frequently when he was testifying. And to me, it seemed as if once he got a little clarity, he had a minute to think and process everything, then he had time to reflect and tell exactly what happened, despite the prosecutor trying to a little bit direct his story and steer him away from it being such a quick window of time. We're talking about 2 minutes he had, and he's lost a significant amount of weight.
But you're talking 2 minutes total.
Right.
Remember, it
2
was
minutes.
a minute 40 seconds or whatever it was total.
Total. Exactly. Total.
That means he went a couple times. Like he made this trek a couple different times. Like that's because so Tristan's first testimony, for anybody who doesn't know, was that his dad was never out of his sight. His dad never left the building, and he never left his dad's side, basically. And then it changed to that he got a drink of water. So, and he was gone approximately 30 seconds. And then it was basically like I got 2 drinks of water and I was gone total like a minute and 40 seconds. But if you go back to looking at the fact that Todd would have had to have left out the back of the building because where Tristan was getting a drink was at the front, or you just think Tristan's lying. That's where that comes in, like the cop just thinks Tristan's lying.
Right. There's no way he ran a football field and a half, murdered her, and ran back a football field and a half. And his son didn't notice.
Yeah, and his testimony though about like just that, like, so that this is where the mentality would be helpful in like Todd's testimony, and how like this whole farming thing works, and how like every single day of his life basically he eats dinner with his brother and his father, and like it's a, you know, it's like a family thing. And like I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, that would be annoying. Like, you know, it's like, can we like not have our own? I don't know. Like I'm just thinking out loud.
No, you're
But
right. It would put having a ton of people around all the time, even if they are family, but they're not, but not immediate family. See, once you get married and you have, or you know, are in a long-term relationship and you have children with somebody, they become your immediate family. Your partner and the kids become your immediate
yes,
family. And it is a
and that
strain
never
to have.
happened here.
Mm-mm.
It
What do you
sounds
mean? I
like.
guess I'm confused. Why are we
So
thinking that they weren't his immediate family?
Well, they
so
were, but they're external at this point, because your immediate family really is your partner, and your children. That's your immediate family. Your
Right.
brother, your mother, your father, those then they're still your family, but they're not your immediate family. And so having people that are your family members, but they're around constantly, it
like
does
every
encroach, and
day.
yeah, it encroaches in a marriage. Like legally, obviously, they're your immediate family. They are.
No, but
You know what I'm saying?
you mean like Mike being at the farm?
No. So here's where I'm going with that. Like I'm going with that like there's a like I'm looking at the family dynamics in general. So
Mm-hmm.
like what are the foundations upon which, you know, this kid was raised on? Like what are the values that he was raised on? And so he's raised around his uncles and his grandfather every single day of his life. And so there's like that loyalty aspect to it. So if he's changing his testimony, like that would be my first thought would be like, okay, why? And so I would want to know more, but it would still not change my mind about Todd, because like my first inclination would not be that he doesn't remember because of A, B, or C, like, because he's 12, right? Is he 12?
Tristan was 13 at the time,
Yeah.
and almost 14, and 15
Yeah.
when he testified. So
Yeah. So he should have an accurate account, and he should be able to testify accurately to what happened. So that's like that then goes deeper, like, you know what I mean? Because the kid's gonna stay loyal to his family. Like he's not gonna rat his dad out. Like,
what if I told you, though, that Dr. B, that after this occurred, after Todd was arrested, Tristan lives with Amy's mom. And that's where he was residing at the entire time in between Todd's arrest and the trial. Would that change your mind in any way?
no, because
Would that make you think he could be influenced by her family?
no,
Which
because
is
I
what,
think there would still be that fear aspect, because if he witnessed his father kill his mother, like I think that his self-preservation to survive and not put himself in that same situation, because obviously whoever did this has no sense of like, you know, like
right.
value for human life. So I think in
So,
that, yeah, go ahead.
so why do you think then he would change his story from, really, his initial story was that his dad never left his sight,
Mhm.
to then making it where there was a window of time, but it was very, very small? Wouldn't it be the other way around? Where at
Well,
first,
I'm not sure what's the context around the first versus the second testimonies. Like, what's the time frame? Like, when was the first time he
I
gave
believe
his
his
account?
initial statement was the day that it occurred.
Hmm.
I believe that's what Todd is talking about, that Luke, I can't remember. I keep wanting to say Magnata, and I know that's obviously not right because I'm distracted. I saw it in the chat earlier, and now it's stuck in my head. And that's not even his name anyway, Luca. But the officer that testified yesterday was at the hospital, and he's the one that questioned Tristan initially. And then there was a deposition given, which I'm not exactly sure when this deposition was given. It had to be sometime between
I think it was after arrest, and it was with the child people.
Okay, the forensic psychologists.
I don't think it was a forensic psychologist. I don't
What do
think
they call those that help with the
Um,
kids?
no, I don't. I think you'd have to go back to his testimony because I don't remember now. But it was like it was after the arrest, but and it had like the not it wasn't like DCFS, but you know what it was like like a child counselor or
Okay,
something along those lines. Maybe somebody in the chat remembers.
okay. So there was because there's only almost a year between when the event occurred, which was November 10th of 2018, and then the trial was September of 2019. So a little less than a year. And I would
there could be like a number of influences too, and it depends on like what he was exposed to. But again, like, just regardless of what the kid's testimony is, like just it's not reliable. So like I don't know how much weight it has anyways. So
why wouldn't it be reliable? He's the only person there.
But he's giving different accounts, so how do you know what to believe?
I mean, it changes from his dad never until he went and got a drink of water.
Well, that's like changed.
I mean, yeah, for sure, it changed. I'm just saying, like, is that an extreme that it would make it not reliable, though? Or like,
yes, and also like taking into account like just child psychology and the reliability of memories and the reliability of eyewitnesses, which is basically like not reliable at all.
True.
So at the end of the day, like his testimony is really nothing. Like, I mean, not nothing, like, but you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't have a lot of weight in determining who did this. Like, it's not groundbreaking, in my opinion.
What do you think about Tristan having done it?
I don't know. That's like the whole, like, John Benet Ramsey thing, like, where I don't know if there's like enough even anything, to, yeah. So
what do you make of Todd? I would imagine that the account he gave of the way he found Amy during his testimony was similar and probably, in fact, a little bit better because it came towards the end of the testimony, which means all those questions that Mo was like saying, who cares? I didn't care either, but I knew what his attorney was doing. He was getting him comfortable on the stand, which is why the hard questions come at the end. Because then they're comfortable, they're relaxed, they're used to it. Nobody cared about those.
I thought he was setting up, showing that during the first affair, nothing really happened, and they went on to buy land and everything else together.
Well, yeah, there was that part too. But I mean, the beginning part of testimony as when you're a defendant and you take, anybody, when you take the stand, the beginning questions are always the easy ones because they're trying to get you they're trying to get you comfortable. And there isn't any amount of preparation that prepares you really for actually being in the courtroom and having jurors stare at you, which is why there was a few times he was looking at the jury and then made a conscious effort not to. So my point is, and my question is, what do you think about the way that Todd described how Amy was found?
Yeah, I thought. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Like, I didn't even let you finish your question, so I don't even know like what your question is.
Well, it just seemed to me that it wasn't very detailed.
Oh, okay.
The way that he described her, she was just hunched over on her face, which I just want to hear your thoughts on that it just wasn't very detailed.
Yeah. I thought, well, first, like, I thought I was listening to his language beforehand, like leading up to that event in terms of like he described it as like, oh, the three of them like were working. He was tugging on the nipples. She was doing this. It sounded like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs kind of thing. Like, you know, they're just like all singing along, and, you know, she just kept kind of like passing out, and they were like, oh, you know, okay. So we kept doing the same thing, and she kept falling over.
Like that.
Yeah, yes.
I
And
see
so
them like the hi ho going where the nipples are going hi ho,
Yeah.
hi ho, and then I see like the nipples like
I
chugging.
wonder who started out with because the dwarfs, one of them started singing first, and it was real slow. Hi ho,
And then the other one's like,
then
hi
it's like it was like the
ho.
call, and then they all start singing hi ho, it's off to work we go. Do, 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 do. Hi ho,
So, okay,
hi ho, hi ho.
did we ever even answer the other question?
Which question?
Your
Oh,
question.
his description. Yeah, so
Mhm.
okay, sorry. Yes, I was listening to that too, and I think that like he was again, like I think that like his nonverbals, his, you know, body language and everything else was just kind of like over it. Like, you know, he was showing some disdain and just not really, not any emotions. And then when he proceeded to describe like physically how he pulled that fork out of her, like it, like I literally felt my guts like just, oh, like that's like, you don't do that, period. Like, you know, and then so it's like he did not like his wife at the time that this happened at all. So yeah.
He described pulling that fork out of her
Like
as
he
if it
was at a
was
farm
right, like it would, like he was pulling it out of
throwing manure or
like
something.
it's stuck in a hay bale. I will say that to me, to pull a piece of farming equipment
That would
out of a
be,
loved one would be more. But I still go back to. I agree with what you're saying. I do think that Todd held disdain for his wife, but I have to go back to the facts and wonder if he actually had enough time. Oh God, there's a fucking frog out here. Y'all know how I hate them damn frogs. Go away from me, frogs. I'm so scared of
free
frogs.
the
You have no
nipples, Shmita, that's what I'm saying.
Shmita.
Free them.
I'm just not sure, based on everything that I heard presented in court, that the state did a good job of proving him guilty.
That's possible.
I
But
agree.
And I don't
yeah,
think
I
the
mean,
defense did a good job of defending him. I would have had the doctor that came out and said she was dead. How did that go? How did he react? I would have had the family members that were there and the family members that were at the house.
A reenactment.
I would have had the. I mean, I'm just saying. I would have had. There's so many things I would have had as a defense attorney that this guy did not do. Like, this is his witnesses. I mean, this is his last witness. So you saw.
Mhm.
yeah, that was a terrible questioning, and so I'm curious to hear the cross-examination.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
Now, I
And
will say,
I want to see how he, like, I'm curious to see if, you know, whatever like little, you know, theories I just came up with just listening to this, I wonder if he's gonna prove me right tomorrow. Like, I want to see his behavior when he's
Well, see, I
confronted
I
with.
think that you're 100% right on the fact that he did not like his wife. I don't think that he was in love with her by any means. I think that bridge had already sailed.
Yeah, and I think that like the narcissism piece.
That was two analogies together, so take that for what you want.
Yeah, I think the narcissism piece that stands out to me is in the way that he describes women in general. So like there's just that like egocentricity, like just a lack of respect for women. And I'm not saying that because of feminism or whatever. Like, this is literally like just one of those diagnostic criteria for like narcissism. Like you look for that for like when you're kind of like profile, or at least for me anyways. And so
And I don't think
And
that he was a feminist at all, really. So
no,
I
no.
guess I wouldn't have
Well,
taken it that way.
oh no, because so like girl, you know how them comments are like
Oh, yeah.
later, like and I don't want Jen to be like, why the fuck are these people saying we're feminazis? So yeah, no, it's a diagnostic criteria, right? So you listen for that kind of language, and it's like
But I have
it's more than just like the man's man kind of mentality. Like it's a little bit deeper than that, and so like I think it's nuanced. So I think we'll see that tomorrow, like, or I'm expecting to see that tomorrow, like that defensiveness. Like we're gonna see that those injuries start to come up.
But I
Yes.
want to disagree on that for just a second, because he had the argument that the wife and the mother-in-law got in, Todd's mom, was because, or it was during when Todd's mom was watching Wyatt, which was the youngest son, who was 9 at the time. Because Taylor, who's the 11-year-old daughter, was actually working on the farm with Todd, while Tristan was working on Mike's farm with Uncle Mike. So he didn't think like his daughter wasn't capable. You know what I mean? He didn't have disdain, and that he treated her like the same. Like she was the next in line to work the farm. So here she is. And instead of being the type of man's man who's like, oh, you're a girl, you need to go to grandma's house and learn to cook and sew, and Wyatt's going to get on the tractor with me. He took his daughter.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like so his daughter, I don't think is like classified as a woman. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like different because it's his kid. Like it's just in general. And the fact that like just in the way, and also like I understand that like the defense is trying to convince the jury that like, oh, she cheated on him not once but twice, and look at him, he's just like this hardworking guy. So again, like taking into consideration that like we only heard his side throughout this whole thing, and like I would love to hear from his wife, because like I, for example, like if I was on that jury, like I would identify with the victim, and so like that would be my thing, is I would want to hear her side of the story. And so like my inclination would be to go with like science, because obviously like if I identify with the victim, that's not a good thing. So the science is like, and most times it's the husband, and unless it's convincingly otherwise, like that's what I'm gonna incline towards, I guess. So I don't know, and his testimony, well, and we'll see tomorrow. Like I want to see what the cross will be like, because that's when they really show themselves. So because that's like, you can't prepare for that. Like he can have an idea, but you can't really prepare for that. And that's when a lot of that stuff comes out, and you want to bring him to that point, because that's exactly who he would have been when what the state is trying to prove happened. So I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking everything as per usual.
I doubt it. No, you're very logical. You always are.
That's what we like about you. No, because
yeah, that's a great characteristic.
They're making us think, because we were all sort of like going a completely. There were things we had agreed about, and most of what you said falls in line with some of the things that we were agreeing about. But then you brought a different perspective too, and that's
And this trial is really, really like giving me Todd Kemp, whatever his name is, Kemp Hammer vibes. And we talked about him before, and he's the one who, claims like, okay, so he and his wife were in a car, and he claims that there was a truck driving by, and a pipe fell off the truck.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and he's and he's saying that
he's
the pipe
here too.
Exactly. So
I have a clip of that to send you, Dr. B, of his knee in the interrogation.
Of who? Of Todd?
Yeah.
Kent
Did you see?
Hammer or whatever?
Yeah, his knee going 100 miles
Oh
an
my
hour.
God. Yeah, I watched that trial like I don't even know how many times. So I know it like forward and backward. But this is what Todd. Yes. Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah, he did for sure.
Yeah. And he's in Wisconsin too. So y'all know my Wisconsin guys are like up in the news lately.
Yes.
So yeah. So that's what this Todd is giving me the vibes too.
So see, I don't see him as that Todd. That Todd, he is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, motive, opportunity, all that stuff, and handling the stand. Though Todd was like hilarious on the stand. Like we should roast him for sure.
He was, and his
Well,
interrogation
he has the
is
most
funny.
annoying face and voice when he makes that like sad face and he just starts just like bullshitting, and he's like, so he's like, did you tell the police this? And he's like, yes. And then you told the police a completely different story. He's like, yes. So you lied to the police. No, I did not lie. So the prosecutor's like, okay, like, what the fuck, Todd? Like, you're not helping yourself.
His interrogation's funny too.
What?
But I cannot stand that like fucking audio. It's disgusting. Sorry for cussing.
No, you're
I like
really.
had a long day
What?
today, so
Are
I
you
have no
new?
brain cells left to
This Todd's
filter.
audio was awful. We couldn't even hardly hear it.
Oh.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Dr. B, because Shmita and I, mainly Shmita and I helped a little, and Mo helped. I barely helped at all. Okay. I asked a question, which then got them thinking, then they, and then Shmita had a follow-up to my question, which then Mo answered. Bottom line is this. The trial that we are waiting for isn't until February 24th. Okay. So what I was thinking about is maybe doing, because we just done this case, which is the antithesis in a lot of ways to what we saw in the Chazzle Dazzle, right? Where the defendant took the stand. And I was thinking maybe we could do a series of like while we're waiting, without getting into a whole new trial, of watching defendants who've taken the stand in their own defense and how that worked out for them. That's what was just one of my thoughts. And to answer you, coolest reviews, it's not that I don't like them. I'm afraid of them. When I was a kid, we were driving back from Disneyland from California to Arizona. And there was this really desolate spot on the highway. And we were just barely in Arizona. It's the middle of the freaking desert. And my dad was driving a Honda Prelude. So you know how low those sit to the ground. And the freaking highway was covered with frogs. They were I could feel the wheels running them over. They were on top of the car. They were hitting the windows, the windshield. They were hitting the moonroof. And ever since then, it was like something out of the 7 plagues of Egypt. Okay. Apocalyptic levels of frogs. And it freaked me out. And ever since then, I've been like, I don't fuck with the frogs. I don't ever want to harm them. I would never. They're an important part of our ecosystem. So when they come out, I just leave. And that's that. just a messed up.
Your dad
messed up story.
The road with the frogs, like that they were jumping over you.
No, we were in the car. But what you don't understand is that we were driving down a highway. There was nowhere for us to go, and they were literally covering this 2-lane highway. So much.
Them over?
There was nothing else to do. It was like, y'all ever seen that movie Exodus with Christian Bale? When the 7 plagues of Egypt come and the frogs come and they're literally everywhere. They're just loads of them. I've never seen anything like it before, and I've never seen anything like it since. There was no avoiding these friggin' frogs.
Did you ever find out why they were there? Like, was there like a frog thing?
I don't know if there was a freaking frog convention or, they were meeting down the street for the banquet, I don't know. There was some kind of award show. I have no idea. I was like 8 or 9 years old.
So maybe it was more frogs than actually was.
No, because my mom and dad have said the same thing.
He's like, oh my gosh, there's frogs everywhere.
No, I thought that too. But my sister and I, and my mom and my dad, we've all talked about it as like since I've been legally an adult, maybe not emotionally an adult, but we all remember it the same way. Because my sister and I were in the back seat and we were like, Dad, quit hitting the frogs. And I'll never forget my dad saying, don't you think I would not be hitting them if you think I want to clean frog guts off the car later? Like he was done. So we just all shut up and got through it.
That would be traumatizing to just sit there and be running them all over. That would be
Yeah.
big.
Especially when in a prelude, it's like 2 inches off the ground. It's a low sitting car. Ugh.
I won't tell you my running over stories because it's worse than frogs.
Okay.
No, don't.
Not animals.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. I'm okay if it's not animals.
That happens where you live, Shmita.
That's awesome. She's all recorded for you. I
Here
want to see.
I would love to see that. And could you, while you're recording them, could you interview them and ask them what the F they're doing? Why they're doing that?
Yeah, like, why are you all here?
Why are you congregating? What's happening? This is loitering at this point. You have no business here.
I have a question for Teresa.
Ooh.
It was not like a ooh. Yesterday, I didn't know anything about the appellate court, but remember I said he had a new attorney?
Mm-hmm.
And you said he'd have to have one for an appeal?
Yeah.
Would that new attorney go to his sentencing hearing?
No.
Well, that's the same one that went to his sentencing hearing.
Oh, is it? Maybe they're part of the same firm or something. They can. I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of, but normally it's a totally different attorney.
Oh, okay, because that's where I was like,
oh, you know what? Todd's attorney, you know what? Todd's sentencing was postponed like 4 times.
oh, maybe that's why then.
So I'm wondering if because you file an appeal immediately. Like you only have I think it's 7 or 14 days to file an appeal on your case, like right off the bat. Like to have it automatically seen by the Court of Appeals. Otherwise, you have to apply. Like for your next appeal. So they go in right away, like literally the day of sentencing. Sometimes I think the defense attorneys even at sentencing or at the verdict, they immediately will say, we're filing an appeal, and they go immediately and file it. So
then that's probably why.
Next attorney in line because they were already going to file appeals.
And there are some criminal defense attorneys who can represent you because they're qualified both to represent you in the trial and the appellate phase. Dan Stidham filed all of Miss Kelly's appeal, and he ended up getting, I feel like initially he did represent him for like a hot minute, and then he didn't. But
you also have to think that most of the time somebody's going for an appeal, they're going for ineffective counsel.
They are. Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can't really have the same attorney.
No.
Right. That's why I asked, because I figured.
He's an idiot, and I want somebody else. I want another chance.
Yeah, that's why I thought he got a new attorney. And I didn't know about the appeals process that they automatically get a different one. But I'm liking this new one so far from what I've seen, which we'll see it after.
He didn't necessarily have a different one. The guy would have to be an appellate attorney as well.
Okay.
So he could be a defense attorney and an appellate attorney. Typically, they're not, because obviously most of the time you're going and you're saying ineffective counsel.
Correct.
Inadequate defense.
Right.
Unless you're filing a true innocence claim.
Right. So Friday, you're going to do the cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then so Saturday will be his verdict and sentencing, and then we'd probably have time to do his motion for a new trial that day too, and that'll be the end of it.
Okay.
But his sentencing part is very interesting because that's with the new attorney, and he says some very interesting things in that.
Okay.
And
So
I've never
I'm
watched,
excited.
I've never watched his appeal in full. I've only ever watched the clips that were on like Court TV.
I'm curious.
Oh.
I really want to know what the
Don't want to know
It's-
that, but otherwise, you just let us tell you.
no.
I haven't watched the
It's only a
motion.
few days. I can make it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
I
want to
haven't
know what
watched the
he's basing
motion.
his appeals on.
I watched this.
He's
I
got me.
watched this. Go ahead.
The Dr. B's over here got me thinking.
Right.
She's got me thinking too.
Would have been
And
nice to actually put like a psychologist or anybody up on the stand.
I would, you know who it would have been nice to hear from? The advocate for Tristan,
Yeah.
because that would be interesting. And also I was thinking about Paula discussing the Waffle House trial, but I don't know.
Well, it's just now getting good now that the defense has taken over. I wish Ty would have had these defense attorneys. They're good. But the state is awful. It was boring for the state's part.
Mm.
Well, I shouldn't say boring because, I mean, I feel bad for the people it happened to, but I just don't like the way they ask questions and stuff. But now that the defense took over, oh, it's getting good.
Well, that is, we talked about this last night, Mo. The reason that he has the defense attorney that he has is because it's a high profile case.
Right.
And that's why he got a pro bono attorney. And
well, first he had oh god, my brain just went blank.
Who's his attorney?
Mo, who's his attorney?
I couldn't tell you the name.
Oh.
But first he had one appointed, and then they took over not long ago.
Right.
Because they talked about it today. The forensic psychologist talked about it today.
Wow.
That's why I want to hear Dr. B's. I want to hear her thoughts on that because,
right,
you know, he's trying to get reason of insanity.
But is he still trying to go with insanity?
Well, that's what the defense is putting on.
It is, okay.
I'm interested. So, did you watch any of the pretrial motions, Mo?
For the Waffle House?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Then you wouldn't know the answer. I have to look it up. I'm curious.
Do you typically watch the pretrial motions for trials? Because I never did up until Lori and Chad. That's the one that I've really gotten into, and like with Stout, and you know, more recently, have I ever even cared about the pretrial motions?
Well, I agree. Normally, I'm not interested in those that much because they're not all that helpful. However, what I'm curious to know is it a true insanity plea, or is it not a true insanity plea, meaning that he actually entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity or mental defect? Or did he just simply plead not guilty and the defense is trying to backdoor an insanity plea? That's what I'm curious about. And
well,
the pretrial motions will answer that.
Well, on the first day, they had a big argument, I guess, because these new lawyers took over and they started entering his videos and stuff, and the state was mad, and it was a whole big thing. So I think they are, because the judge even told the jury the instructions on insanity pleas.
So then it's a true insanity plea. That's interesting. Those don't happen very often.
That's why I found it so interesting.
It's almost impossible for a judge to allow that plea.
But on the Law and Crime, you know how they have the poll up?
Mm-hmm.
only 9% voted that they thought he would get that. But after watching it, I think that he is. So
You
I
think
feel
he's
sorry
insane?
for him. Yeah, I feel sorry for him.
It's a tough call because I mean, normal people typically see all these people who are committing these heinous crimes as insane, but to actually be clinically insane, that's why you're right. Dr. B's thought that would be kind of interesting.
Well, the forensic psychologist says he is.
The forensic psychologist that testified for the defense, right?
Right. But
Right.
she calls herself a friend of the court. Like nobody pays them. Either side can get them. And the defense didn't request her. The appointed attorney did.
Okay, so she's not a paid expert.
Right.
That's interesting.
But then another expert's coming on tomorrow. But they're trying to get his YouTube videos played. And they're having an argument about it. So maybe they might get played tomorrow.
Well, wow. That's, I mean, that's an maybe the case is, I didn't want to cover it. Watching it is one thing, covering it is another. I think it's a lot for people. But that's interesting what you're saying about, and I'm not saying that a paid defense, I'm not saying that whether she was a paid expert or not, that doesn't make her testimony less or more credible. I just wanted clarification of who said it. That's all. Because the state always evaluates. So I was curious. And I'm curious as to how far apart their diagnoses are.
Well, he's got issues, that's for sure.
Yeah, but legal insanity is a very difficult it's a very difficult defense to mount, and it's very rarely ever successful because jurors mainly believe that they're faking.
Right.
And that they're just
I
trying
don't know
to
if they
avoid
will with
going to
him.
prison. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched any of it, so I'll have to look into this one, Lupe. I'm not familiar with it, but I'll definitely check it out. I don't want to get into this is my conundrum. Today is February 3rd. So
today's February 2nd, honey.
Oh, well, it's almost
Groundhog Day.
Just because you off Tuesday doesn't mean that we actually are a day ahead.
This is the problem. Today's Groundhog Day, and I'm over here like Bill Murray, living the same day over and over. The only thing that's missing is I got you, babe, at playing. I'd be the cherry on this messed up cake. Okay, so tomorrow is the 3rd. So roughly 21 days between now and then when that other trial starts. And I just don't want to, what if I don't know, I'm worried about the length of the trial because I don't want to like get halfway through one trial and then have to stop because the other trial starts, which is, I'm just rambling.
Well, do you want to do a older trial that we know is short that nobody has really seen?
Yeah, I was thinking about either doing that or.
Oh, you know who you should do?
Huh? Who?
Nicholas
Cruz?
No.
His interrogation alone is 10 hours.
No, not him.
I know who
Gypsy.
she wants to do. No.
Gypsy's Nicholas.
No.
It's short.
It's not. Yeah, but no. No. I have no.
I knew the answer before I asked.
No. No way, no day. Not just, yeah, no. I think we should just find an older trial that is short, but also do the examples of people that take the defense or that take the stand in their own defense.
You got any ideas, Teresa?
I was just thinking. Hmm. No, I don't really. I don't know. I like the idea of doing like a montage of defendants that take the stand in their own defense, and then
Okay.
how many of
Okay,
them
did you
they
guys
come up
ever
with.
watch the Theodore Edgecombe? I think I brought this up before on a live, and nobody is watching it, and I feel like people just need to watch it because it's actually pretty funny. Like
I
okay,
was
I'm gonna
gonna
send
start it,
you.
and then this Waffle House one started.
Okay, well, someone
I
broke it
watched it.
down to all the times that he goes, huh? Who? Can you ask that again? I was acting in self-defense. They have that as like a 3-minute montage. I'm gonna
Oh,
send it to
wow.
you because it's hilarious actually because
Yeah.
the state is getting so mad, and even the judge is telling them like, just answer the question.
Right. Stop stalling. It's like a
I
kid
s-
tactic.
I
You know, when
saw
you
the
ask
judge
your
hold his
kid,
head.
you know, when you're at, like, you ask your kid a question and they need an extra moment to think up a lie and they say, huh, like they didn't hear you. So you sit there and repeat the question, which then gives them time to come up with this lie.
Uh-huh.
It's annoying to me. My kids say, huh, to me. And I'm like, just answer. I think we should
Yeah.
do like areas because there's some really good trials where the defendant takes the stand. Durst, both times he was tried, he took the stand in his own defense. There's a few good ones out there that we should totally
I don't think I
cover.
want to do a kid one though.
No.
Okay.
Like, what do you mean, like a kid that takes a stand in their own defense, or like they murdered a kid?
Murdered a kid.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of just a trial. I'm having all these outbursts with. Don't mind me.
Oh, Max 2002. That was a good trial. I watched that one. Skylar Richardson.
Mm-hmm. That was a good one.
I was pissed. I was pretty pissed about that trial.
You know
Oh yeah, that would be a good one.
I was thinking about the King brothers because I find their case very fascinating. They're from I believe they're from here. I think they're from Florida. I can't remember. They were very young, and the younger brother's the one that took the stand. And his testimony is just it's a hard one. I don't want to play it. I just was thinking about it. That case has always fascinated me. But
Isn't there another trial coming up with one of the movie theater shooters?
no, I can't I know that Nicholas Cruz's is chugging along there.
What did what did he do?
It was the Parkland school shooter
Oh yeah, no, not that
on
one.
Valentine's Day.
It's a movie theater one. I don't know. I have a hard time. I see, and that's another weird thing that I have. I can't handle the mass shootings.
Yeah, see, I can't do that one either. You know who else? You know who else we should play for sure? For sure, Betty Broderick. Her testimony, you just have to see it. You just have to see it.
I don't think I've ever watched it.
It's there. I'm hoping that I'm trying to remember. I feel like there were cameras at both trials, but I can't remember for sure. But I will tell you this, the testimony I remember watching was from the second trial. And the exchange between it's not really on direct at all. It is on cross. What the exchange between Betty and the prosecutor is, you have to watch it. It's so good.
Well, can you throw her into your montage?
Of course. Of course. That's what I was thinking of people, out loud that yeah, I don't want to do Nicholas Cruz either, BR the Star, because I just can't. I don't know. It's not one of those cases that I just as interesting as it is, and I like to have a good, healthy debate. I love people having differing opinions and yet remaining respectful. but there are some cases, lots, where you can't. No matter what you try, no matter what the topic pertaining to that case is, the chat frequently devolves into chaos, and I don't have patience for it. I have patience for a good debate, not like a tit for tatting argument. I just don't have patience for it.
Well, we'll look around. I like the Skylar Richardson one, but I know that's a baby, so.
Yeah. Hey, Steph M. Hey, Recliner Services. Just Recliner Services. I'm reading two things at the same time. Recliner Detective. What the hell is wrong with me today? I don't even know. I read Recliner, and I don't know where I got services from. Somewhere around, either up or below the comment or above the comment. And the word is not even services. I think it just started with a friggin' S.
The services in the recliner.
Yeah, recliner services.
Recliner Services.
It's probably on Pornhub.
What is wrong with me? Oh my God. Oh, that's Paula's right. It's 22222, or I think there's some extra twos in there, but yeah, you take my meaning.
Recliner services.
Down 22222 Recliner Services.
Back 2002. Don't talk like that. Don't talk like that. You don't want him walking as a free man.
Yeah, and I've been keeping an eye a little bit on that case too, as much as I can. But I'll say this: I need to know more of what the prosecution intends to present. I think it's going to be a fascinating trial because it's a no-body crime, and those are difficult.
Did you see the body cam? There's new body cam that was released.
I haven't.
Yesterday or the day before.
What did I tell you I was doing all the day today? All I did today was make that dadgum video and try to keep Alice from going. I don't know what her damage was today. She was on top of the on top of the washing machine, on top of the microwave, on top of my dresser. And the thing is, she's just a friggin' lunatic.
You knocking down any camera antennas?
No, but she was trying to look through the blinds. Why? I don't know. She takes her little hand and pulls the blind towards her so that she can then create a gap so she can stick her little head in between the blinds and the window. I don't even know what the hell she's watching. It's the side window. It doesn't face shit. There's nothing going on out there.
She knows what's out there. There's probably a frog.
She knows. It's probably a frog. She's probably like, look, I'm on Frog Patrol, bitch. Shut up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Frog Patrol. Frog Patrol.
Whenever you're in trouble. Yeah, so
you guys are always so fun.
It's good to have levity during these times. It's a heavy thing we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just can't be serious all the time. I just can't.
I can't be serious any of the time. Even when I do try to be serious, the jokes crack up. The jokes will just leak out. It's not, and I don't even mean to.
Yeah, well, right now our city is being like overtaken by protesters.
What are they
protesting? We are still in lockdown. Like I don't even know how to behave out in public anymore. So you can't mind me on the lives.
Like you guys can't go anywhere?
No, we can't. Like all of our indoor activities and stuff like that, like we don't even have like in restaurant dining.
It's hockey season. What the hell is happening?
Yeah.
There's no
we don't have a lot of in restaurant dining yet. Some have it, some don't. Some still have patios. Some offer both, just for the.
Yeah, but you're warm.
Oh yeah, we are. We're warm. Well, it's not warm. I mean, I'm fucking cold, but you'd be probably in shorts and a t-shirt.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, because she's negative 20.
my niece is in Wisconsin, and she texts me how warm she was yesterday because it was like 43 degrees. And I was like, it's 58, and I'm bundled up in a blanket and a sweatshirt. Like,
Yeah. People that don't have winters and then all of a sudden have one winter. It doesn't even have to be legitimate winter. When that like polar vortex thing they were talking about dipped down into Florida, it actually didn't even, I wasn't included in that part of it where I live because I'm on a peninsula on the peninsula, right? Because that's what Florida is. That deep freeze didn't even hit my little neck of the woods. However, it was still friggin' too cold because I'm not used to it. I think the majority of winter 70 is about the average high. Maybe 68. Maybe. And even if we do have temperatures that are colder than that, by January, all of the chances for it to be cold like that are over. The close as you move through February, getting, closer to March or whatever, that's it. You're done. There's hardly any cool. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That's how it is here.
And people are losing their minds. I think I have lost my mind and I can't even talk about it because my mind is gone.
I know. I can't even tell you why I started even talking about being on lockdown.
I think they should do a study.
You guys are covered in protesters, and I was asking how come people are protesting.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy that you guys are still like in full lockdown. I feel like I mean, I don't know like a statistic, but I feel like we're like 50-50. We still have a mask mandate. Half the stuff is open. I mean, or not, I should say more than half the stuff is open, but like restaurant wise, you have 50%, that you can go in or out or whatever.
Oh, not the Floridas. We're fully functioning. Don't want to wear a mask? Don't have to. Yeah, none of that. Everything is open. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, I mean, my kids have been in school all year.
Ours too, in Florida. In fact, they're talking about introducing some type of bill or something where it's going to be statewide, where if there's an outbreak at your child's school and you're concerned about it and you don't want to take the risk and you remove your kid from school, they won't be getting an excused absence. It will be unexcused.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, like most of our teachers, like if you have symptoms or if you have to quarantine because you were around somebody, they still stream their class, so the kids, even if they're homesick, can still like watch, or if they're just quarantined or whatever. And we get like notifications like every day of how many people at the school, whether it be parents or student or teachers or students.
Oh, wow.
Test positive. You get an email every day from each school.
Oh, wow. See, no, not here. So when it initially happened, when everything started, and when school started up for the 2020-21 school year, right?
2020 or 21?
Well, this would be the 2020 to 2021 or 2021 to 2022 school year.
Right,
This
so
school
last
year.
school year. Okay.
Right.
I want to make sure.
Yeah. So last school year, when school first started, you would get an automated call every day if there was anybody in the school that tested positive. And then they changed it to no, you only get a call if your student was potentially exposed and needs to quarantine. So if you want to keep track of what's going on at your school, then they created like this dashboard for you to go and look it up. How many, kids are quarantining and what all and all that. And if you do have to quarantine, then they have online school for you available. But they want the kids here back in school.
Yeah, that's how it is here.
I know a good one.
Yeah.
Lindsay Parton. Oh gosh, I can't talk. The Lindsay Parton case trial. Because I don't think
No,
she's
that one's too
guilty.
sad. That one's sad.
Oh,
I
no,
was
it's
looking.
good.
Ask me tomorrow, though.
Freaking case, that Sterling Cohen case. Oh my gosh! I
Oh,
was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch this trial.
Oh, it's sad.
I was doing all
Did-
kinds. I was looking around at all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is nuts. This is just nuts.
I told you.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really
And
bad.
the same guy that did and Todd's the special agent, he's the one that he's on her trial too.
Oh,
really?
well, then shit. Did he test the fingernails?
He interviewed her in the car with a body cam. So you don't see, you just hear it. You can't see anything.
What's with him doing car interviews? Like,
I
go
don't
to
even know
damn
if I watched
office.
that trial because I feel like those guys. There's just no way they're not guilty. There's just There's not even.
Oh no, yeah, they're guilty for sure. That's why I like the ones where we're not sure, like Lindsay, but I forgot Lana's doing her, so, and it's a kid, so.
Ugh. That poor baby. That baby was so cute. He was so cute.
I know, it's terrible. I'm usually okay with kid ones, but I've watched everything there is on that one.
Okay, so can we talk about the kid from today?
Yes.
If anybody in chat has any updates about it, because I haven't been able to check for updates.
The little baby?
Oh, that 2-day-old baby, man. Oh, I'm like.
I haven't seen anything yet. Let me look here.
Okay. That they found her. My gut told me before I even was like looking into it that it was the baby daddy. And then come to find out baby daddy has, so if you guys haven't heard, okay, so young lady, I don't know how old she is, was killed, I believe in her car, and then she had
outside of it or something?
Yeah,
right near it.
Right outside of it, yeah. And then like she had a 2-day-old that was in the car with her that nobody could account for. And then they said he's in jail, 2 counts of murder. One article said that he confessed. Another article said that they do have evidence that the baby is deceased. And they're looking for her remains. And I'm like, I hope that's flipping wrong.
Right,
But,
wow.
And then the girl was like talking on the news, dude, and she's bawling. I mean, it was just like, oh, it was so bad. I was like, the name. Her name was Danielle, I think. And then how this all just happened today, so I don't know all their names yet.
Brandon?
They still haven't found
Brandon is the guy. 27-year-old Danielle.
Yeah, her name's Danielle. And what's the baby's name?
I'm not sure. This one doesn't say. Let me see.
They still haven't found a baby.
It's so terrible. It's so heart-wrenching. It's very difficult for me to separate myself sometimes emotionally from children's cases. That's why I don't like to cover them. It's not that I'm not interested in them. It's just that sometimes I have a difficult time covering them objectively. And I'm not afraid to admit it. There are certain cases I can't be objective on. Most of them I can, but there's a few that I can't. Kennedy's
the baby in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, that's right. Kennedy. Yep, that's the baby's name.
That little baby's just so cute. Oh my goodness.
So cute. She's so cute. So there was speculation going online, of course, that the baby daddy actually has a girlfriend and has like a family, and then he had wanted her to have an abortion.
Oh gosh.
And that he had been telling people that he was going to get rid of them.
Jeez.
Because he didn't want this baby.
I hadn't even heard of this.
I did.
Today.
Yeah.
You were trying to get all your work done so you could come watch Todd.
Well, I
Yeah.
was watching actually, I was listening to the Waffle House, so I wasn't searching anything today. Yeah, I was busting my butt at work so I could come.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
All these cases are so sad. I mean, Amy's case is sad in that I don't get.
Yeah, the 3 kids lost mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have. Sad. So I guess I'm going to end it for tonight. I want to thank you, Teresa, for coming and hanging with us all this trial. It's been great. I want you to stick around though. I want us to keep doing this because I really am enjoying it.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you, Mo, for getting all of the testimony that we played today and all the testimony we played ever from this case. And I'd like to say thank you to Shamita for just being Shamita and helping me today find that trial. So now I can be ready for it whenever it finally does stream. And then I'd like to thank the chat for coming in and participating and everybody just having a good, healthy banter back and forth of ideas without, it getting all crazy and ridiculous and unnecessary. And thank you to Team Psych Ward, my mod, for modding the chat and everything you do all the time for us. I really appreciate it. And I guess, so tomorrow night I'm going to do, I'll premiere it. The Texas cadet murders, the murder of Adrian Jones. And then Friday will be the cross-examination of Mr. Todd Mullis. And we'll see how we feel after the cross.
Exciting.
I know. I live for cross exams. Live for them. They're so much more
And
exciting.
this one's a doozy.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is.
We have some controversy afterward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't wait. So.
Oh, if Dr. B watches that one, she will have a lot to say.
I'm
Well,
glad
I
she
can't
did
wait.
though.
Me too. Me too. And I'm glad she came. Thank you, Dr. B, for coming up tonight too. I know you're listening and sharing your thoughts because it has made me take some different things into consideration and think about some more things as I work. We all talk about this later and watch more of the testimony and stuff before we give our final verdict. So I guess that's all for now, you guys. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
I'll see
Thank
y'all.
you for having me.
You're always welcome. Always.
See you guys in a couple days.
All right.
All right.
Bye. Bye, y'all.